Libations, sipping through history. Let the journey begin.
Welcome to Legends and Libations, Edge of the Map,
North American edition. I'm your host, Jesse.
and I'm Matthew.
And we're here for episode 16.
Yeah, we made it all this
Holy
way.
smokes.
We're knocking on the door of almost 200 YouTube subscribers.
Yeah, if you guys want to be that next one, we would love it.
Yeah, we really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it's something, it's we need it. It's like personal, like maybe it's ego, but like we need it for our, do you want us to feel so broken that we don't have 200 yet?
Well, we have to get to 500 before we can shove merch in their face on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you guys want merch, just push to you and you don't even have to go to our website.
It'll be right down there underneath.
Yeah, you can just go underneath and be like, ooh, look.
Oh, look at that. There's a centaur drinking a beer.
Oh, it's a pretty badass shirt.
That's a new one.
So
what are we drinking today?
Ooh, today is a weird one.
Why is it weird?
Well, I've never had it before, ever. It's called Linya.
Linya. That sounds cool.
It's an aquavit. It's from Norway. It was an accident.
Oh, really?
It was a total accident when
like
they made
my brother.
Exactly. So when it was originally made, they were sending aquavit to from Norway to Asia.
Oh, wow.
Well, a couple of the barrels didn't get sold,
That's unfortunate.
and so they had to go back to Norway. What they realized is the flavor of the aquavit completely changed.
Oh, really? During the round trip?
Well, it's because it's on a boat. It's aging like with the waves and the ocean, and with
Is it like
spray.
rolling back and forth?
Yeah, rolling back and
across
forth
the deck.
And so they were like, wow, this is impressive. Let's keep this going. This was gifted to us by someone who's very, very wonderful to us and very kind. I'm excited to try it.
Oh, I'm excited to try it too. Do you know what kind of spirit is it? Is like a rum or like a whiskey or vodka?
I'm taking a wild guess and saying it's more like a whiskey. It's at 41.5% volume.
That's
of
getting
alcohol.
on up there.
Yeah.
Maybe aquavit is the kind of
it's
alcohol.
aquavit, but then this is Linya.
Linya.
So we're going to make a cocktail, but let's start with just trying it because I've never had this before.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it.
It'd be horrible to just spill this right now. I'm excited to just see what it's like.
Yeah, that's been across the equator twice, according to the bottle.
Yeah, according to the bottle, it has to go across the equator twice.
Which I thought was really clever marketing. And then I realized that you have to go across the equator twice if you're going to get back to where you came from.
No matter what, you have to.
Unless you're taking just like a one-way ticket to somewhere.
All right, let's try this.
All right. Cheers, dude. We're shooting it or just like sipping it?
I'm just sipping it, man. I've never had this before.
Whiskey-ish.
Whiskey herbal? It's like an herb garden whiskey.
Yeah, it has an interesting finish to it. That might be something to do with the barrels. I'm not sure.
It's a little peppery.
I'll take your word for it because my palate is about that of a caveman that just has discovered fire.
Yeah, so it's a little peppery. Kind of has a basilness behind it.
I'll say herbs. I can.
Okay, so you got the herbs. You got the herbs.
Some kind of herbs.
The
smell is what reminds me of whiskey, I think.
Yeah, but it's so herby.
Yeah.
I have mint in there. I have basil. It's a lot is happening right there.
I have a deviated septum and can't smell anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And we're gonna probably we will be making a cocktail with this called Linya berries.
Linya berries,
which will be when I make it. After I'm done sipping on this, maybe I'll make it and I'll explain what we do. But today we have a heavy episode. Heavy-handed, yeah, we do.
Yes.
So
we kind of started with the idea of doing Vikings.
Yeah, we like the idea of Vikings. Vikings are naturally the most badass thing you can do.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But we wanted to go with the legend of discovering North America first because Leif Erikson Day
is coming up on the 8th. October 8th, Leif Erikson Day.
It might even be around the time this episode comes out.
Let's hope it comes out just a few days before at least.
But then we started doing the research and looking into Vikings and found out that Leif Erikson is only a small ellipses on the end of like the Viking saga.
Yeah, it's like at the very end of the Viking age.
He does not encapsulate the mental image that you get when you think of a Viking.
Not at all.
No,
in fact,
he's
in
not
fact,
a
him
raid
even
and
being
pillage.
like, yeah,
He's not that type of Viking. He was actually a converted to Christianity type Viking.
yeah,
Which
hardly a
yeah.
Viking anymore.
So we wanted to expand the topic and include all kinds of possible legends of how America was discovered.
Well, yeah, because we so often, when we're kids or like when we're growing up and going to school, who do we hear discovered America?
Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
In what year?
1492.
Good job. Yeah, exactly. And then, but like, you never hear about people who may have previously made it.
Right.
I'm sure if you're from Minnesota and you know about Leif Erikson Day.
Well, you know, like the Native Americans were there before.
Yeah, so someone made it before. It had to happen.
Yeah, there's no way that all of it was just like a happy accident from Columbus trying to find the West Indies and ran into America.
Yeah. Whoops.
But apparently there is more to the legend of Christopher Columbus. So we might start with the official story.
So yeah, we'll shoot towards Christopher Columbus here.
And then we might get into some more
We'll get
mythical,
into some shady ground here.
territory that may or may not be true, but is definitely the stuff of Legends and Libations.
We are in fact Legends and Libations, not
history and horchata.
Horchata.
Isn't that a drink?
That is a drink.
Is it alcoholic?
I guess it could be if you make it alcoholic. Okay, so let's talk about what we know about Christopher Columbus. I remember hearing, he's Spanish. Generally, I hear he's a douchebag in modern culture.
Right.
Our grandparents.
He's one of those canceled ones.
Yeah. And our grandparents, on the other hand, were like,
Christopher Columbus, George Washington.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that? I found out really recently that Washington, D.C. is District of Columbia, which is a
You just found that out?
No. I found out it's a feminine version of Columbus because they were trying to give him honor with DC.
Which part?
Columbia. District of Columbia.
Columbia. I see.
Yeah, it used to be a nickname for the Americas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like a little nickname. Not that has much to do with all of this, but a little fascinating thing I didn't know until I knew.
Do you know who America was named after?
Yes, we'll get to that.
Okay.
In the legend of Christopher Columbus. So he was likely born 1451 in a town called Genoa,
Switzerland?
No, it was, I think it's in Italy.
I'm thinking of Geneva.
Yeah, you think of Geneva. Even though there's other rumors that he could be something else, that's likely he was born to an Italian Catholic family. He was the son of a weaver and a cheesemaker.
A cheesemonger.
Yeah, there you go. But growing up in this area, it was close to water, and it gave him plenty of opportunity for seafaring adventures at the ripe young age of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, by 10, they say allegedly he already had his first adventure to sea. By his late teens, he already...
What does that qualify as?
I don't know, going fishing. I feel like
I,
by the age of 10, went out with my grandfather on Lake Huron, so maybe I too am a master sailor.
My dad let me fall in the river while he had his back turned, and I almost drowned. So that was kind of my...
What river?
It was just like a river on my grandparents' property.
Noble.
It was like a creek or whatever.
Yeah.
This isn't the only time this happened.
I'm glad you made it through.
Me too.
Well, anyways, by his early 20s, he had already sailed the west coast of Africa, the Greek Aegean Sea, to Bristol, England, Galway, England, and Iceland. Sorry, Galway, Ireland. Galway girl. Duh.
Wait, not Iceland?
He did. He got all the way to Iceland.
Iceland.
Yeah, he went to Iceland. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
By the age of in his 20s, I feel like he's a much more accomplished sailor than I've ever been. If anything can be said about him in general, is that he was a good sailor.
You can tie a knot. You're a better sailor than I am.
Oh yeah. When do we have to tie knots in normal life?
We don't. Until the time that it was really important for you to tie a knot, and you're like, oh man.
And then you tied your shoe, and then you're like, that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever just like started tying a knot because you need to hold two things together, and you're just like actually just repeating the knot, and then you're like, and then it still comes out, and you're like, what the hell?
That's like the most basic way of tying a knot is just like repeat the same thing and just hope that it holds together.
You hope it kind of tangles. Like you're actually
exactly.
actually kind of just doing it rough so that it tangles, because you're like, I'll never get to tangle out, so this is gonna work.
Tangled logic. That's funny.
So anyways, he also had a brother, Bartholomew.
Bartholomew.
which I think is like a form of Bartholomew, but
Gotta
Italian.
Don't know where you got that from.
And he was a map maker.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Cartographer.
Yeah, exactly.
We like that.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. We wished we had a professional cartographer for our podcast, but we don't. So we have that map.
I wish that map was closer so we could.
So we could just
like
point it here, right there. Because right now it's like, well, there we are.
Yes.
Anyways, so here's the situation. The Greek city Constantinople, you know, the Byzantine Roman Empire.
Yeah, we talked about that in Spear of Destiny.
Well, it fell. And a lot of the trade kind of stopped because of the Ottoman Empire. And Columbus was at maybe 2 centuries.
So they were trading like to the east through Constantinople. That was important.
Originally.
Okay,
And then once that closed down, they're like trying to find other ways around. But that is a task.
Oh, yeah.
What, you go around the Horn of Africa and then like,
that's not safe.
it's just, don't they know there's pirates down there?
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez. So, well, I guess Columbus was like the first to be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sail the ocean
Other
blue.
way.
Other way.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to just go across, which for some reason.
I imagine everyone was just like,
oh my goodness. Why would you do this?
You're going to fall off the edge of the earth.
Don't you know there's dragons over there?
Yes.
Okay, so actually, common misunderstanding of the past is actually probably no one at this time believed in the flat earth.
Wow.
The flat earth,
So
actually,
there's more flat earthers now than there was in like the 1400s.
100%.
Okay.
So in the 2nd century BC, they already knew that the earth was round. Greek philosopher, someone really smart.
Yeah.
He was like, actually the earth is spherical, and I know this by math. Above my pay grade. Math, he's doing it, and he's like, and everyone at that time had his text and knew that. The whole flat earthers thing was actually presented by a French like anti-Catholic guy that was like, Catholics believe this, which is weird. And then it was propagated by Washington Irving, who wrote Sleepy Hollow. He was like funny. anti-Catholic, superstitious, and like everyone's like, we don't believe in flat Earth.
Flat Earth, yeah.
And he's like, no, you do believe in flat Earth. That's what you do. And you're like, do we?
Washington Irving's also the one that popularized the Ponce de Leon thing.
This guy,
yeah, he was like a master propagandist.
Always
go back in time and get rid of Washington Irving.
Yeah, we need to cancel him.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, the Earth is round. We need to get to Japan. We need to get to China. And they had maps with Japan and China on it. They looked a little weird, but they were there. They were there. They were like squished.
Yeah.
They were littler than Europe.
They weren't to scale.
So he's like, you know what? I'm going to math this. He read an Arabic text that said, okay, the Earth is this many miles around. I can make it there. The problem is he read a Latin translation and did Roman miles, not Arabic miles. Roman miles about 25% shorter.
Oh, wow.
So the Earth was, for him, about 25,000 miles around when it was actually 40,000.
That's a lot longer.
Yeah. So here he is. He's like, you know what? We're going to make this journey to where there be dragons at the edge of the map. And I'm going to get to the West Indies. I'm going to find a way across. I'm going to get to Asia this way. Bold move, Columbus, a bold move. But he does it.
It's a big risk to take.
Oh, such a risky thing to do.
Do we want to take a break and start a drink?
You know what also I forgot?
What?
That I wanted to do Dante first. All right, so trying to Linya, it's pretty tasty, but let's go ahead and actually try to create. I don't know how to actually feel about it, but I'm excited about the cocktail. So this is called a Linya Berry.
Linya Berry, we got it straight from their website.
Yeah, I know. They had a lot of really good cocktails. So this cocktail is, in fact, needs ice. So let me tell you a story about exploring the new world.
Go for it.
Sometimes we get extremely ambitious in life.
Of course.
You know, of course, you've heard of, by the way, cranberry juice, ocean spray, because we're on the ocean blue today, right?
Like discovering the new world.
Yeah.
Ambitious.
Yeah. Like that kind of ambition tends to be, I mean, it's kind of questionable. Was it for the better?
Big risk, big reward type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, this is what Columbus is thinking. But
here be dragons means that you might die.
Well, exactly. There might be death with a side of death.
Death with the sight of all your friends dead too.
If we've learned anything from El Dorado, that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
So this
that kind of goes along with Antarctica too, and to an extent, the moon. It's like anytime that you're pushing the frontiers, there is a high probability that people might die.
Why do we push the frontiers?
Because we are humans and we are just like wired to do that.
We're wired for destruction.
Yeah. Well, and to explore the unknown too, and to like push into the places, edges of the map that we don't know about yet. I think that's one of the great things about being humans, though, is like I don't really feel like you see animals necessarily.
Like exploring the edges of the map.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like, oh, that's just what we do.
Mm-hmm. Like for animals, I guess it could be like for hunting or whatever, but for humans, it's just to know, like
Linya berry.
Linya berries.
It is essentially 3 parts. 1 part linya, 1 part sparkling mineral water, and 1 part cranberry juice.
It's good.
Oh yeah, that's refreshing. Has some blueberries in there. Very simple.
We went with the 100% juice instead of like the sugary cocktail version.
Yeah.
So if you wanted it to be sweeter, this is not very sweet.
Yeah, you'd want to do the cocktail one rather than the 100% juice.
Yeah, I think it's a little flexible, like all cocktails are.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, there is a story from Dante's Inferno in his Purgatory where he meets Odysseus. Odysseus is in hell. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know
Allegedly he's in hell. And it's actually after he gets home from Troy, he goes home. That's a whole odyssey, right? Well, apparently he's just not content at home.
As Odysseus is.
Yeah, I mean, like he's been out for 20 years. Why would he be excited about being home?
Like a soldier coming home from war.
Yeah, like he can't just come home. Like he doesn't know how to do that. And so what he does is he, in his old age, he looks at his wife and he's like, oh, she's kind of old. He looks at his son. He's like, he can take care of things. And he wants this kind of divine adventure of intellect and exploration. So he does the wild thing, gets the crew back together.
Oh, nice. Get the band back together.
He's like, come on, old guys. And they're all like gray and hobbling. He's like, let's sail the ocean blue. Well, he sails for a while. Way in the distance, he sees a mountain. Him and his crew see a mountain. And as they get closer, the winds start picking up. And divine judgment falls upon them. They sink before they get to what is called Mount Purgatory.
Wow, that's symbolic.
Oh, I know, right? Right. The whole fate is like a warning for Dante as a pilgrim. That, of course, the highest human virtues and desires is kind of intellectual curiosity. But if this is not guided properly with good virtues, it can actually lead you kind of to destruction and lead you to abandon things that you shouldn't.
Like if you have good intentions.
Yeah, even with the good intentions, this kind of pursuit of knowledge can lead to the damnation of a soul rather than to lead to salvation. How symbolic that becomes very much of like all of Columbus's whole story. He actually asked a whole lot of people for support, and most people, scholars at the court were like, ooh, buddy.
I don't know about that. That seems kind of like a risky investment.
Yeah, like you're going to sail. Because, he's not trying to get to America. He's trying to find a way around the globe to get to Asia. Because after the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Empire, he's like, oh, well, shit, we got to find a way to... I guess no one was like, hey, actually, we should just sail around the world. He was the first to be like, let's do this.
Were they just like trying to get through this territory where the...
where they would likely be murdered, or
it's just an unstable region.
It's so unstable. There's no way that they could actually all the commodities of life were, they costed a lot more. Things that people were like normal, like having like, curry at your house was not easy anymore because guess what? India's blocked.
Yes.
And so there's just like this huge problem. Silk, all of that was not.
Spices.
Yeah, people were.
All the food tastes bland in Europe now.
Oh no, my fish and chips just taste like fish. There's this big issue where they're thinking of what way can we get across this, and of course, going around the Horn of Africa is not great.
No, it's dangerous.
There's pirates there. We know that. So apparently, Columbus was like, you know what? I know how to do this. He's a good sailor and he understands trade winds. I remember learning about those in school, the trade winds, that on the southern end, the winds head west, and on the northern end of Europe, they head east. And so it creates a circle, right? So all the winds from Spain and Africa are heading to America, heading west. and then all the ones
On
from
the
the
top,
north
they're
are
headed
heading
the other
towards,
way.
Yeah. Okay. So he understood the winds really well, and I guess I don't know if that was common knowledge for people or not, but he was aware of it, and he's like, so it's going to take me 6 weeks to get this Arabic text.
It should have been.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going to get to Asia. I'm going to get to Japan so that we can skip the middleman. We can skip the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, cut out the middleman.
Yeah, we don't need you.
Maximize your profits.
Yeah. What he did wrong, though, was he read the Arabic miles as Roman miles. Well, lucky for him, and also maybe not so lucky for the people he found.
The distances kind of evened out with him hitting America.
Hitting the Americas, right. So that was kind of just lucky on his part, honestly.
That is lucky.
Because if he was wrong, it would have sucked.
He won't be the only lucky one in this story or in this episode, as we'll find out.
So, of course, he didn't find, he had to get Isabella to support him and Ferdinand. Like, that's, no one's supporting this crockpot idea.
He had to find those venture capitalists with that.
Yeah. He had to find someone who was like, what do we get out of this? Allegedly, he had reddish hair, ruddy cheeks. He was very handsome and strong. That's what all the texts say. Now, when I see a picture of him, he looks like an alien. But
did he write those texts?
Right, I wonder. He had grayish blue. He did have grayish green eyes.
Oh,
so
very dashing.
Allegedly, people also either loved him or hated him.
He's a polarizing figure.
He was a big personality. Yeah, polarizing. He dressed way above his class, even though he didn't have the money for it. We do not know how he got that.
You got to dress for the job
Dress
you
for the
want,
job
not
you
the
want.
job you have.
He's like, I want to be a noble. He never said, okay, I'm from Italy. He always said his city, Genoa. He's from the proud city, the gateway of the globe.
And if people didn't know where that was, that it would kind of sound exotic.
Yeah, right.
Probably.
His brother tried getting Henry the Seventh, the father of Henry the Eighth, who started the Reformation, to support this, but Henry was thinking too long about it and never got back to him.
Oh, wow.
But Isabella,
it's like when you read a text message and you don't respond to it,
and people are like, hey, did you get my message?
And you see them in person before you responded.
So anyways, Isabella and Ferdinand, he couldn't actually talk to either of them alone, but apparently they had a motto as a couple, Toto Monto, Monto Toto, Tonto, Monto Tonto, means each is the same as the other, which is kind of a strong kind of couple thing, but like they made all decisions together and you couldn't talk to either of them alone. That's
cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. But they were also two kingdoms that united Spain, chased out the Moors. Like this was like a badass power couple.
Yeah, that changed history a lot.
Yeah, I mean they changed the way things function.
You know what two nations that those were?
Castelli.
Okay.
It was smaller. The smaller
Catalonia or something like that.
Yeah, it was a smaller
different?
Spanish.
Okay.
Because it just wasn't Spain yet. It became.
It was a united. They made it into a united Spain.
A united Spain.
Okay.
But they really are a badass power couple. They're like, okay, we'll support him. Isabella actually gives away her own jewels in hopes that the rest of her citizens would also give away to support this. And
that's very noble.
Yeah. So she
as if they had a choice.
As if they have a choice, right? So it ended up where Columbus left Spain, fully funded. He left with 3 ships.
The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Oh yeah, you knew. It's like almost like you did. It's almost like you remember history class. It was also a week before the election of Pope Alexander VI, who we have problems with, but we'll get back to that.
How many people were on his boats?
You know what? I didn't pay attention to that.
I was just curious.
Yeah, a lot.
Probably.
Yeah. So they first went off to the Canary Islands, just off of Northwest Africa. So this is interesting because allegedly the people in the Canary Islands before the Spanish really took over, which was 3 years after Columbus went through, it was all Spanish. Allegedly there was a people there that were blonde hair, bronze colored skin or copper colored skin, were very strong, but very stout.
It's an odd combination.
Yeah. And like allegedly extremely beautiful, but we have no traces of those people at all.
Genocide.
Yeah, right.
He had to warm up to the genocide there in the Canary Islands. That was just like his appetizer for it. And then he gets to America and he's like, here's some smallpox.
The Spanish, like after literally 3 years later, had completely overtaken.
Of course. Not surprised at all.
Yeah, right. So they are there on the Canary Islands.
Bullfighting, genocide.
You know that the bullfighting, Roman emperors tried getting rid of it from the Spanish. They didn't listen. Popes tried getting rid of it. They didn't listen. Then they gave it to Mexico. and everyone still does bullfighting.
Wow.
Like Hemingway, like he talks about bullfighting as if like it's a very exciting thing in some of
He
his books.
romanticizes it.
Oh yeah. Would you go see it?
I don't know. I hear it's like more
yeah.
sad than exciting, but who knows? You might get into it. It's like
Yeah.
their version of like college football, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Who knows?
So after restocking at the Canary Islands, repairing, which I don't know, what do you have to repair? You just like left
The boats were not like perfect.
Yeah.
Back then, I've learned that they're just kind of like leaking all the
All the
time.
time.
Something like that.
So as they were leaving, they left on September 6th. As they were leaving, the volcano Tenerife or Tenerifia
Oh no.
erupted behind them on the Canary Islands.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
that
like,
had something to do with them not being there anymore.
Is
Like,
this a support? Is this like God, like, yeah? Or is this like, oh shit?
it's a bad omen. I think it's kind of a bad omen.
Yeah. So this is an interesting thing because like they are sailing into the unknown. I want to take a minute and think about how they would have viewed other people groups before this, like people groups who are in the unknown world. Just because I think like sometimes for us, it's very easy for us to be like, yeah, those are people and we're not going to hurt them or do anything, right?
That's like a modern view of it.
Very modern,
I think.
with looking in the past and being like, oh shit, we made a mistake. The equivalent of this is a whole bunch of alien spaceship landing among us because of how different. Like you remember, so these people have a couple stories in their head. They have the biblical stories of people like giants. They have the from Enoch's time, the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
They have Beowulf in the back of their head, where you have like the Grendel's like a son of Cain.
Yeah.
They have mythology like Odysseus, where there's cyclopses.
That's a good point.
There's lotus eaters. There's all kinds of like weird things that could hurt you in the background of their mind. And so when these groups of people come up on other people, I'm not sure that we know exactly how they were responding to it.
I can see that because everything's foreign back
Yeah,
then.
yeah. I'm not necessarily going to say that this justifies anything,
Mm-hmm.
Nor do I think that maybe they didn't know what they were doing. Rather, I'm just saying that there's a lot of background that could be kind of cloudy.
That could clarify it a little better if we looked at it through their lens.
Yeah. So, like, if you can take a moment and like be like, I know shit, and here's cyclopses are real, giants are real. Maybe we hear about them in mythology. So, and it's not considered mythology at the time. It's considered like
I think that
forms of history.
we talked about Prester John in his kingdom had supposedly like unicorns and like stuff like that. But if you've never seen a unicorn, but you've also never seen a lion or like a gorilla or something, like those things could hold the same space in your mind as both being like equally real.
Exactly. Like if you talked about a giraffe and you've lived in England, medieval
Or
England,
a dragon, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know what a giraffe is. So
they're equally weird.
yeah, exactly. They're
weird.
equally strange. Like, well, wait till you see a platypus, dude. It's gonna blow your mind.
It's gonna throw you off. So I kind of want to pull ourselves there. Anyways, so
Let's get in their headspace.
Yeah. And they're leaving the known world. Behind them is the last bit of civilization to know, and it's a volcano exploding.
And they've got to make it because otherwise they're going to die. And
Well,
it's very much a life or death sort of situation.
you know, he was thinking it's going to take 4 or 5 weeks.
How long did it take?
Well, by the 5th week, they're starting to get hungry, and people are starting to grumble. Like,
And the fat guys are kind of looking tasty.
yeah, and they're looking at Columbus, and they're like,
Man, I bet he'd be looking
"Hey,
some of the-
douchebag, you're just bringing us out here to die." Like, you really can't turn around at that point.
No, not at all.
And with the trade winds, it's behind you anyway. So what are you going to do? Going to come back? So they're really like starting to poke at this, but.
Are they thinking about mutinying?
Oh yeah, they're thinking about mutiny. They're thinking about mutiny. But by the 6th week, second day of the 6th week, our buddy Rodrino, it was a common name, but like it seems like everyone was named that. At
Sounds
that
like
time.
Rodrigo.
He on October 12th at 2 a.m. How he's seeing things at 2 a.m. I have no idea. He sees land ho. He's like
Maybe it was a full moon or something.
yeah, there must have been a very full moon that day. From the deck of the Pinta.
You got to be pretty sure if you're going to call land ho at this point, because they're going to massacre you and crucify you to the mast if you're wrong about the land.
You better not be wrong.
Yeah,
about
it's going to be like in Lord of the Rings when like Merry and Pippin are caught by the orcs, and then they're like fighting over whether to eat them or not, and then one of the Uruk-hai cuts off the orc, and they're like, "Meat's back on the menu, boys." You're going to be that orc.
You know what's really funny to think about orcs having menus.
Oh,
I wonder what I'm going to eat today.
that's funny. How do they know what a menu is?
How do they know what a menu is?
Exactly.
You're in a dirt
restaurant. They didn't think that line through, I guess.
in the modern HBO series, probably.
Yeah,
They're
that's
like,
true.
yes, there are orc restaurants. Fine dining, orc food.
Are you talking about the Rings of Power thing? Yeah, that series makes you feel a lot more empathetic towards the orcs because they have like orc babies and stuff, like orc families.
Why would they do that to
It's
us?
like, oh, bye family, I'm going off to murder the elves.
Because the elves suck.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes them all. Why would they do that?
I don't know.
So anyways, so he spots land, which is good because Columbus probably was getting a bit nervous with everything.
I would too.
Yeah. So allegedly this was some island in the Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
We don't know which one. He named it San Salvador.
Okay.
Which
San
I think San Salvador was later named by it, but we don't actually know what island he was looking at. This is Columbus's log claims, and he talks in third person in his log, which is weird.
That's suspicious. Maybe he didn't write it.
Literally, the first thing he says is, "We saw naked people from the deck of the boat." He said, they saw naked people from the deck of the boat. The admiral, talking about himself, and the captains of the Pinta and Nina went to land armed with Spanish royal standards. The royal standard was a green cross. On one side, it had an F and the other a Y for Isabella. So Ferdinand and Isabella. Okay. And they had crowns over each of them. And upon landing, they knelt down, rendering thanks to the Lord with tears of joy and thanking God and in his glory for having mercy on them that they can see land. He hailed the captains to himself, and the natives claim that to them and to the natives, he claims that the land is now for the Catholic sovereigns. Like it belongs to Ferdinand and Isabella. He then brings his crew, realigns them like on their loyalty to him. He forgives and pardons them for thinking about like their mutiny.
That's funny.
And
you are forgiven.
Yeah, and then he is claimed to be admiral and given to land to take care of. Like this is now because Isabella and Ferdinand said
he could have it if he got there. Yeah.
Now he was hailed as like the governor essentially.
It being in third person makes it confusing.
Oh, it does. It makes it so confusing. He called the natives Los Indios. Because again, he thought he was in the West Indies.
Oh yes, I forgot about
that. So that's where we get the whole Indian thing, which is kind of funny. Even though I've heard other arguments.
How does he not see like they don't have the trade routes and like the what do you call it, the Silk Road that's going on by now, right?
I think he's thinking he's just on some
he's in like an
islands.
Okay, yeah,
like,
on
like
the
periphery of it.
Yeah, okay.
I just don't think he really knows where he's at.
Mm-hmm. So he's holding on to this idea that this is the West Indies though for a long time though, right?
Oh, he does not back down on it. In fact,
he doesn't want to say that he's wrong.
No. In fact, if anyone questioned him, he would have his crew whipped 100 times if they questioned him. It's ridiculous. So furthermore, Columbus further journeys. He would say that the natives would give everything to them and loved pleasing them. And when he wrote back to like Isabella, whenever because he journeyed to the Americas four times, and he was like, "Oh, they love us. They give things to us. They loved pleasing us."
Why did they do that? Was it just like a custom, or was it to make them leave? Or
we'll get into that.
Okay.
He said that they do not steal, they do not murder, they have no knowledge of evil. This is again what he's telling Ferdinand and Isabella, that they were the best people in the world, and even their language was sweet. That they were always gentle and always laughing. Now, this is what he's telling Isabella and Ferdinand after his first trip.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he hasn't actually found Japan or China. He needs funding still.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Since
he was like pretty much out of food or whatever, he couldn't go from here and go further on. It was like time to turn around and go back.
Yeah. Like we
found it, but
now we need more funding.
Okay.
He kind of essentially gives them like a myth of Eden though. Like don't know evil. They're all naked.
Right. Don't they always do that?
Ferdinand gets obsessed with the nakedness, by the way.
Oh, really?
He's like, we need to force them to wear clothes to show them Christian morality. He gets like literally obsessed with it.
That's
the Spanish get obsessed with clothing the indigenous people groups.
They just want to run around naked.
They're like, quit running around naked. Quit letting your willy hang out. Put your pants on.
I just picture Ferdinand chasing him with a pair of like breeches. He's like, you getting that right now.
You getting that. You do that. What are you doing? Crazy.
That loincloth is not acceptable.
You cannot go to mass like that.
Yeah.
So One of the famous stories is that Christopher Columbus famously mistook 3 manatees for mermaids.
Oh my god!
And
how bad was his eyesight?
It was January 9th, 1493, so only a year later.
Oh, how long had he gone without eating or drinking?
He was outside of the Dominican Republic, and he wrote in his journal that the mermaids were not half as beautiful as they were painted. And
That's
noted
funny.
that the somewhat human-like faces, though he found them disappointing compared to the mythical creatures of legend. This, of course, this happened a lot to sailors when they saw manatees.
Right.
And they, for some reason, were like, "Yes, this is very similar to the
mermaid.
mermaids in folklore." I'm guessing it's not like the Little Mermaid.
No, they had that cabin fever too. I feel like
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they're just
They
like
need-
hallucinating a little bit.
They need some oranges.
Yeah,
Yeah, get rid of
some
scurvy.
lemons. Yeah,
So in his journeys, he quickly became somewhat of a disappointment.
how so?
They weren't really accomplishing much.
Well, he found America.
He didn't know he found America. They were just the Indies at that time.
Okay, yeah. So he's like, he doesn't know that he's the first one.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
they establish a colony?
He starts establishing a colony pretty early on. In fact, Ferdinand actually had a lot to say about Columbus. He actually said that he's predisposed to success.
So he's lucky.
Yeah, he's unresponsive to setbacks. He is
Doesn't take criticism
blind to obstacles.
Mhm.
Furthermore, he is the quintessence of wishful thinking.
Like delusions of grandeur.
He says that he uses religion to back all of his thoughts.
That can be done.
Yeah, he also calls him a traveling salesman, and says that he's full of empty charm, but a completely self-made man.
Hmm.
Columbus could not admit that he actually failed to see Asia, so that's why he had people whipped if they disagreed with
So
him.
he never admitted to it.
No, he in fact did not know that he ever discovered America, which is funny because in his failing to see that he actually found a whole new land, 15 years later,
Amerigo Vespucci.
Yep, he's the one who really named America.
Mhm. Allegedly.
Allegedly. So he again had 4 voyages around the world. He felt that he carried Christ to the New World. He felt like he called himself Saint Christopher.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Wait, so he's not the Saint Christopher
No, he's
of the
no,
pendant or
not
whatever,
not of like
the symbol.
Not that's a 2nd century, 1st century saint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So those don't need to be confused with each other.
No, don't be confused with
Okay.
that. He is not considered a saint by any
Okay,
means.
he's not canonized.
No, not at all. Columbus
He
felt
identifies as a saint.
he identifies as a saint. It's fine.
Uh,
I feel like I hear that all the time when people are like, why do you Catholics have saints? Like, aren't we all saints? I'm like, do you think you are? Do you really want to go there?
oh wow.
You treated that guy pretty bad the other day.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that people considered themselves to be saint, but I guess it is like a saying.
Yeah.
Like that person so and so is a saint.
Yeah. He went as far as saying that his struggle across the water under the heavy burden of Christ in 1501, he signed himself as Christ bearer rather than Christopher Columbus. He was long dedicated himself to the recapturing of Jerusalem also, and he thought the Spanish were going to kind of rebuild the kingdom of God, essentially.
Why does he remind me of Napoleon a little bit?
Oh, because he has that touch. He has that touch for sure.
Uh-huh.
Isabella.
How tall was he?
Hmm,
We should find out.
he was ruddy.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
We need to use that Roman measuring stick or the
Yeah, right.
Arabic measuring stick, whatever the difference is. That's
Maybe
funny.
he's taller in a Roman one than he
That's,
is.
yeah, exactly. That's why he wanted to go back and conquer that part of the world, I guess.
Yeah. Well, also maybe among the indigenous people groups, he was very tall.
Right. I was wondering that too. We'll talk about that later with the Vikings, because I think that the Vikings were taller in general, but the Native Americans weren't small people by any means.
Yeah. Well, also allegedly he had Viking blood in him. Christopher Columbus
did.
Yeah, allegedly. You know,
It seems like a bunch of Europe did.
the Vikings did get around.
Yeah, they did.
I feel like every time I'm starting to make drinks, I'm talking about Vikings.
That might be some foreshadowing coming on.
Foreshadowing.
Yes.
Every time I talk about Vikings, this is what happens.
This episode did start as the Vikings
The Viking episode.
Yes, the Viking episode.
You still have berries, or do you need more berries?
I'll always take some more berries, dude.
Just some berries.
Thank you for the berries. Runaway renegade berry. A berry mutiny is occurring.
Berry mutiny. So anyways, he started getting like even the people who are financing him started seeing him as a brutal dictator. They could not see everything. They noticed that what he was running, what he was doing.
Are they seeing a return on their investment?
No.
He's not bringing back stuff?
No. And they're actually only hearing horror stories.
And they're expecting like silk and spices and like
and
other things of value.
Yeah.
Taj Mahal.
Yeah, they're expecting a lot. So this is going to be weird. So I'm going to be talking both about how he ended, but also how the Spanish kind of took on some stuff. So Isabella and her successor actually find that Christopher Columbus is not adequate, to say the least.
Not adequate for his position.
No, they actually strip him of his titles.
Oh, no. So he's not the Christ bearer anymore.
No, because of his widespread brutality and mismanagement as the governor of the Caribbean colonies.
So even back then, he was getting criticized for his treatment of the natives.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's
stripped
surprising.
Of his title.
Yeah.
This is including allegations of violence, enslavement, and mistreatment of indigenous people groups.
There's some Viking blood.
After his third voyage, Columbus was arrested and stripped of his titles.
What?
He was sent back to Spain in chains in the 1500s due to these accusations.
Who's arresting him?
Isabella.
Okay.
Yeah, and or her successor.
Her guys.
Yeah. The breakdown is essentially that because of all this evidence of what he was doing, he was disgraced and lost all privileges for his support.
You don't learn about that in history class.
No, you don't. And that's so interesting because you never learn how he dies.
Right. No, not at all. I have no idea.
He's like in his 30s while he's taking most of these voyages in his 30s and then 40s. But by the end of his life, when he returns to Spain at 1504, in his last voyage, Columbus was 53. He was extremely poor health. He had inflammation of eyes and couldn't see very far anymore. He couldn't read or anything.
That explains the mermaid thing.
Yeah, exactly right. He also was diagnosed with gout or arthritis, but is suspected to have something called Retier syndrome. I don't really know what that is.
I'd never heard of that before.
He was in severe pain all the time. And he waited in vain to be summoned to court because Ferdinand and Queen Isabella had doubts about his mental condition and had no intentions of giving him any office.
Oh, wow.
Furthermore, in his last 18 months, he was sick and cared for by family. He was waiting for riches. None came. He was waiting for recognition. None came.
It did later on,
Yeah,
though.
the only time that he was
Posthumously.
actually recognized is his, in court, they recognized him as a son of his dad. That's it.
Well, that's not much to write home about.
Yeah, that's not much to write home about at all. He then, on May 20th, Columbus took a sudden turn. His sons were with him, which were named after Ferdinand and his brother.
It's like, I'm going to get it good with Ferdinand, name my son after him.
Couple shipmates were with him, and allegedly there was a mass set, and he died with the hopes of nothing that he thought he would have.
Wow. That is a
No
major
recognition, no
disappointment.
money, 53.
But he goes down in history, though, after the fact.
He also travels more in his death than he does in his life.
Oh, really?
So yeah, he was originally buried at a monastery in Santa Maria in Seville, and then his body is taken to Santo Domingo in the Caribbean.
Oh, that's cool.
And then after the French took over, he was moved again to Havana, Cuba. And then after Spain lost Cuba, he was then returned to Spain to the cathedral. And
Jesus.
Yeah. And he never knew that he discovered a new world.
That is way different than the version of Columbus that we learned about at school.
Well, there's just nothing actually really very beautiful about him.
No.
Some of the problems that happened is, of course, that Alexander VI Pope greenlit a whole bunch of what's that called? The doctrine of discovery. Whoever discovers it, the land is owned by them, which is later was recanted a lot.
I could see that.
But the person behind that was actually a boy that when he saw Columbus come back from his first trip, he was amazed by him. He was like, I want to be like Columbus after his first voyage. That boy then went with Columbus on his second journey.
Is this Ponce de Leon?
No, this is
he was
this
on
is
the boat
another
too.
Bartholomew de Las Casas.
Bartholomew Las Casas.
He went on the second voyage, but very quickly he was like
Regretted it.
Oh, he was given land in Cuba. He was given property and slaves, and he ended up releasing all of them. He ended up becoming a priest, a Dominican priest, and
That's cool.
he wrote extensively on the violence of the Spanish. In fact, when you read some of his stuff, he talks about how the Spanish did horrible things to the natives. They made bets by spitting on people and splitting them in half and beheading them. They made bets on who should do that. They would rip children from their mothers and then dash them on the stones.
Wow.
They even had like this ritual where they would take 13 natives, one representing the Christ and the other the 12 apostles,
12
and
apostles.
then burn them alive.
That's terrible.
Like,
Where do they get these ideas from?
Yeah, he pretty much like went further and just how disgusting they were as people. And then wrote on like so much. He wrote on like how the natives were real people and they should not be treated this way because they essentially just.
This is Bartholomew.
Yeah, this is Bartholomew. Okay. He actually got laws completely changed. By 1537, Pope Paul III declares like that you cannot treat indigenous people like this, and like this is everything that
this
Spanish
is wrong. Yeah,
but Spanish are like, well, you're way over there.
You can't do anything about it.
You can't do anything, and so they're just ignoring this.
It must be really bad for it to reach the Pope, which has got to be like 2,000 miles away at this point, and for them to actually make a declaration of do not treat these people this horribly.
Yeah, like it just was.
But it was kind of ineffective. It's like a toothless sort of
like what's the Pope organization so far away? Like. And so even though they're Catholic, it's like, well, they're just going to do whatever the hell they want.
We see the Pope do some stuff like in other time periods, though, but like that's usually more of like an offensive thing than like a. Yeah,
like here, defensive. A lot of here, like, because we're looking at kind of the brink of the Renaissance, Reformation, New World. Like, what is a Pope going to do that's like literally across an ocean?
Right.
It's,
it's an unenforceable.
Yeah, like you can't do anything. And if literally they're doing it. So he did end up getting a lot of the church like shifted towards that. But by then the damage was already done. The Spanish killed probably like accidentally, even just with the disease, over 50% of the population.
Oh, yeah.
The vast lands of America that were emptied because they did that. Yeah, like I don't really want to go and hash out like all the Spanish did. But essentially,
it's kind of grim, and it's not.
It's extremely grim.
It's not legendary.
It's not legendary, and the only thing legendary about the Spanish was the El Dorado.
Yeah.
And so, generally speaking, after that, like, there's not much good to be said about what the Spanish did to the world around them. They would go into places. They would. They were like, oh, we're doing this legally. They would claim that the land belonged to the Christians and they had to be under the Pope, which is funny because Pope's telling them, hey, you shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And they're like, this is now owned by the Pope and the monarchs of Spain. And they would say it in their own language. So the indigenous people didn't even know what they were saying. They're like, well, we legally told them.
Hey, that looks like a real example of taking the Lord's name in vain sort of situation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just kind of like an absolute mess. To be honest, like the way that really Columbus opened up the road for that.
For the brutality.
Yeah, he
and like down the door for that.
Well, and then I'm thinking of like Dante's whole warning, like, hey, this search for knowledge and glory, which is what
and the volcano wanted. Too.
Yeah. And all of this is like the symbol of like exactly what they were going to do. They were going to destroy whole people groups. Everything was going to be lost in that. And it really probably did more or less, like if we go on a spiritual realm, definitely condemn them.
Yeah.
Like you literally are taking something holy, like making the indigenous people be burned to death as the apostles in Christ. Like what's wrong with you guys?
Where are you getting the idea that this is even what God wants you to do at all?
Yeah. But it was, of course, Bartholomew, the priest that had so much changed and so much focus and said, hey, he was like almost like a cool social justice guy.
Yeah, even
like
if
actually fighting for something.
Like the Aztecs and other Native American groups that practice human sacrifice, like at some point the Spanish that came and conquered them are not acting any more humane than they were,
or maybe even worse.
Probably worse.
Because
exactly.
They might be like, well, there's just one that needs to be sacrificed to the sun, and they're like, all of you guys are going to be sacrificed to the sun, and you're like, what's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
And of course, actually that priest, he did become the first bishop of Chiapas. In Mexico, but he was so hated by the colonizers, the Spaniards, that they chased him out. And his last official thing was like it was a rule on confession. If anybody that was like pretty much a colonizer came to confession and they weren't changing their ways, do not forgive them. But he got chased out, and he worked in Europe with the courts of changing the laws and making sure that like people were treated like people. But again, who knows how much of that affected them.
Right.
So, yeah. Christopher Columbus was a disappointment.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, you're just a douche.
Okay, so if Christopher Columbus discovered America in quotations.
Yeah, we're going to say in quotations.
But there are some
legendary
and factual examples that he was not the first person to discover America.
Not that he even knew he discovered America.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
that's an ironic twist to the whole
I really
thing.
I feel like Columbus got too much of our history books.
Oh yeah, most definitely. He should not have a day named after him.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with it being called Indigenous
Peoples Day.
Like,
yes.
Christopher Columbus does not actually deserve that.
He seems like a terrible person.
And he was even fired by the people who were funding him. Like,
You
come
have
on.
to be awful to do that,
Like-
especially during this time period.
And him dying, I feel like him dying with this desperate desire for glory and riches. I'm glad he died that way with nothing.
Me too. Okay, so you know how you were talking about the Pope authorized this declaration that made it where whoever discovered a certain land first was the owner of the land, had the rights to it.
Yeah, not that has been officially denounced. It was
Right.
never a Catholic doctrine. It was like a, like the Pope just like, okay, this is a thing that can happen. People, it wasn't like a spiritual thing. It was more like this was just him acting as a kind of a regent or like a king.
Yes.
But-
What do they call that? Like something like the Pope King, but
Yeah,
like that's kind of what it means. But that's not
it's
the
in
word
a
for
weird
it.
time when the church had a bit more regular kind of like temporal, like material authority.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know how also the king, you said King Henry the Seventh,
Yep.
kind of
Henry
dropped the
VII.
ball on getting back to
Yeah, he
Christopher Columbus.
He definitely missed out on. Could you imagine if that changed? Like if he said yes,
Mhm.
the whole
The
world
new
would be
world.
speaking. Like the whole South America would be speaking English. Right now.
And that kind of brings us to this other. Okay, to our first actual legend of this episode of Legends and Libations.
Yeah, because Christopher Columbus.
Now you see the importance of it being an English speaker to be the one to discover America first. And there was this story that had been going around for a while by the time that Columbus had discovered America, that Columbus was not actually the first European to land in America.
Ooh.
And that actually the first person to land in America was this Welsh prince called Prince Madoc.
What a cool name.
Yeah, it is a cool name. In some translations, it's Maydog, but like Maydog sounds cool too. But we'll go with Prince
That's
Madoc.
like 90s cool.
Yeah.
Maydog, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like he's in a Budweiser commercial.
Exactly. Maydog, pass me beer.
Prince Madoc was a real person though. Like he was the son of the Welsh king Owain Gwynedd. And this guy, Owain, he ruled from 1137 to 1170.
Okay, so yeah.
The Welsh kingdom.
Yeah, high Middle Ages.
Yes.
Cool.
And when he died in 1170, he had a bunch of sons, and a lot of them were kind of illegitimate sons. They weren't really his, like, with
They were
the queen.
extracurricular
Yeah,
sons.
yeah, they were extracurricular. And in these times, that the extracurricular sons could actually be recognized legally if the king legitimized you by saying, "Oh yes, that is my son."
In fact, I
did that one.
Son.
Yes,
I created that one. Oh, that one too.
And Prince Madoc was one of those. His father did own up to having him, but he was like lower down the chain of command when it came down to
inheritance. He's not like a real. He's not like
Mm-hmm.
direct inheritance, but
right. So when the king died, all the siblings started fighting, since there were so many of them, over who would be the next Welsh king.
as you should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You have to fight for Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I mean, if there's enough siblings after a certain number, you just got to kind of throw your hat in the ring. And if you just like murder a couple other ones, then you're like, gain support.
Yeah, gain support. If you're cool, people like you, and you kill the right people, maybe you can get on top.
But Prince Madoc didn't want any part of that. I guess he like wasn't necessarily like power hungry, or he didn't want to risk his life to like be the next king.
Yeah, he's like this. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. And he was way out. He was so out that he took 2 ships and 120 men and just sailed out into the Atlantic. And it was like, peace, guys. I'm not playing part of your family feud.
I'm so out.
I'll see you, Steve Harvey. Yeah. I'm going this way.
Wow.
And so he just sails out to the west, and according to the legend is that, we talked about the trade winds earlier, that the trade winds and the ocean currents, they take him into the Gulf of Mexico, now known as the Gulf of America.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I see people wearing shirts that say Gulf of America on them.
I don't think I can take it serious. I'm like, is it really changed?
It's on Google Maps.
Oh God. Our map says Gulf of Mexico.
That's because it was made before the tariffs. The tariffs.
Yeah, before tariffs came into effect.
Yeah. Okay, so guess where the trade winds take Prince Madoc and his crew to land? Mobile, Alabama.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. This is where the legend states that Prince Madoc and his crew made landfall in Mobile, and there is even a plaque that is erected to Prince Madoc's honor in Mobile Bay. It has now since been moved. In the 70s, it got moved to a museum down there, but it was one of those historical sites, those like bronze plaques that you see in certain historical places that have a little like a paragraph about them.
Yeah, they're like, hey, this is what we are.
They had one about him, and I really meant to print it off and read it to you. Okay, yeah, so Prince Madoc had this plaque erected in Mobile Bay, and the plaque says, in memory of Prince Madoc, a Welsh explorer who landed on the shores of Mobile Bay in 1170 and left behind with the Indians the Welsh language. Authority is Encyclopedia Americana, copyright, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what that means, but that he founded he founded ancient Roman forts and coins in Tennessee. These forts resemble the forts of Wales in the 9th and 10th centuries and the white Indians of Tennessee and Missouri rivers.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
That is insane.
Yeah,
like the idea of a Welsh prince making it to Mobile, Alabama. Like,
but let's take a step back for a second. So he got there. He landed. He did a little bit of surveying the land and thought that like Christopher Columbus did when he sold it back to Ferdinand and Isabella, how he said that it was like an Eden sort of land. It was like lush and there were naked people. I'm not sure if Madoc said that or not.
Yeah.
But he did say that there was abundance of wild game, forests, rivers, plenty of fish, like that sort of thing. Open land, pasture land.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so he goes back to Wales because he only took 2 ships and like 120 men.
Yeah.
He goes back to Wales because he doesn't want to hog all the open land for himself.
Like he could be a great king.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So he goes back and he's like, guys, I found this great place. It's just that we got to go
5 weeks.
Yeah, just 5 weeks. And I promise I'll bring enough food. And 1,000 people want to go with him. So he gets 10 ships this time. And he leaves from Wales and he's never seen in Europe ever again. He's completely vanished from this point on. And all we have about him from 1171 is when that happened. It only took 1 year for his first reconnaissance mission, is that there are certain traces and like whispers of his presence all throughout the Mississippi River Valley and the Ohio River Valley. And so he goes back to Mobile and supposedly he works his way up, and there are stone structures that are found in, there's like a stone fort in Georgia, and there's a stone fort near, like the remnants of a stone fort near where DeSoto Caverns are in Alabama. And they accredit both of these structures to Prince Madoc's Welsh speaking people. But it doesn't just stop there. It seems like they were kind of like on a colonizing mission, maybe, or pursued by like the natives were there. They're kind of being pushed up. Like get out of our territory, sort of thing. So they kept having to get right. So the
Welshman.
So they kept having to relocate, and they end up going up the Ohio River Valley. And in Kentucky, there's a little bit of weight to this story because in the 19th century, that this guy on his farm unearthed this stone, and on the stone was this writing that he couldn't read, and he took it to some scholars in like the local area or whatever, and it turned out to be Welsh, and it translated to mean towards strength, divide the land we are spread over purely between offspring and wisdom. And they think that this was like a divider between like properties that might have delineated where like the Welsh people had their colonies.
Because that's how they that's how the Welsh functioned. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of this is a little bit like hearsay, rumors sort of thing. And some of the places they found armor that was buried, like chainmail, like breastplates.
That seems a little bit.
It could be confused with the Spanish and like DeSoto's guys and stuff. And that's always what the debunkers say, is that it was Spanish.
It was Spanish. Yeah.
But of course they're going to say that, because as I mentioned earlier, and we talked about, the first ones to claim the area were the owners, And so this story was very advantageous for the English. If they were there in 1170, that
not even just the English, the Welsh.
The Welsh specifically, it predates the Spanish being there by like 300 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and of course, even the Spanish, they named the Mobile Bay the Bay of the Holy Spirit. Like it was Spanish owned for a long time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what Mobile Bay originally was called in Spanish, which I'm not going to murder right now. I'm not gonna try.
You've been doing that Duolingo though.
I've been trying Duolingo. I'm on my 21-day streak.
Nice. You need to be my friend on Duolingo.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, we can have a friend streak.
Yeah, we can have. That'd be fun. We could have a friend streak.
Yeah, Casey and I have like a 376 days friend streak.
What language are you learning?
French.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's add each other.
Oh yeah, let's do that
After this, guys, not during the show.
Not during the show.
That would be interesting because like. Also, the Spanish were wearing really different armor than chainmail. Chainmail is particular to the time era of the High Middle Ages.
And Columbus was more towards almost the Renaissance, right?
Yeah, which that whole, like, you know that really heavy armor that you see, like even at Renaissance fairs? That really heavy armor that you think, oh man, how could anyone stab any in that? It's because it was actually made for guns. Did you know that? That super heavy plated armor.
Oh, really?
That's actually made for gunpowder.
To withstand gunpowder.
Yeah, because it's
could it?
Yeah, it did pretty good.
That's crazy.
Well, those old guns at least.
Yeah.
Now the issue, like
they withstood it because it missed.
Yeah. Well, and you couldn't fight with a sword in that armor.
No, not at all.
Sometimes that like when I go to Renaissance fairs, they have like that thick armor and then they're sword fighting. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but that's
you
not
see that in movies though too. I feel like sometimes they wear that in movies.
Yeah, but that's not what they would have worn.
It would have been chainmail.
Chainmail is so much more mobile. You can move around. You can sword fight.
Oh yeah, chainmail is very mobile. It takes forever to make chainmail though.
Yeah. So if it's chainmail, that does seem actually much closer to the 1100s than if it's a big thick armor.
Yeah,
that does seem more 1500s.
And
1400s.
You could see why like Prince Madoc never returned to Wales if he was constantly like under the threat of the Native Americans and kept getting pushed like further and further north.
Yeah, like how's he going to ever come home?
And some of the stone fort structures were allegedly in this like teardrop shape. Like if you looked at them from above, that they would kind of like resemble like a teardrop. And like the walls would make that type of shape that resembled the type of shape of the castle that Prince Madoc was born in back in Wales.
Wow.
And so that kind of lends a little credibility to that this was not a Native American built thing. And of course there's a whole like racism component to this to say how dare you claim that this was made by white people when this was made by the Native Americans. And I did not look a lot into whether or not Native Americans used stone structures, but from my understanding, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I probably will upset some people, but I was under the impression that Native Americans were more of mound builder type people than were stone structure builders.
Certainly in like the North American, like northern part, like obviously you have the Aztecs and Mayans that are building huge stone structures.
But we talked about the Cahokia place that was in Missouri in our other episode about giants.
Yeah, and it's all mounds.
And it was mounds.
Which and even in northern ones you see like essentially log cabins and I don't know of any stone structures made by natives like in that area.
Not that I could name off the top of my head.
Not outside of the kind of bigger tribes that we see in the South. So
maybe some more research is needed into that specific question.
We're not professionals.
We're not, but there were a lot of stone structures that were discovered along this sort of general track towards the north. And you wonder where Prince Madoc's people ended up eventually, since all of America was not claimed for Wales, that something had to have happened to them.
Well, they never came home, so it's like they couldn't be like, hey, even if they stuck a Welsh flag in it, there's no one to say anything.
There's a lot of speculation as to what might have happened to them, and a couple of things were that they assimilated into a tribe called the Mandan people that live in the Dakotas, and supposedly this group of Native Americans has like lighter hair, lighter skin, and like maybe bluish green eyes in some of their people, and that they might have been the product of the intermarrying between the Welsh and the Native Americans. There's this cool story
how many Welsh did you say came with them?
About 1,000.
If all 10 ships made it, that would be impressive.
That would be enough to survived for a while.
Mixed with the tribe and
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no telling how many of them were surviving from like little colony to little colony. Yeah. And you could make the argument that they weren't in places long enough to be able to make stone structures that would take so long to do. But
I don't know. Stacking stones isn't so hard.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on how big the stones are.
Yeah.
Look at the pyramids.
Those are big stones.
But there are a couple of cool stories though. In 1660, and this was after white people were definitely here, there was a Reverend Morgan Jones, and he was going to take the good news gospel to the indigenous people.
Oh, that's so nice of him. Yeah, so nice.
He had a group of people with him, about 5 or so, and they were in, I think, like Cherokee territory, and they didn't take too kindly to him telling them what he thought about where they were going to spend eternity.
You're going to spend eternity in hell, boy.
And he's like, they're like, we're going to show you where you're going to spend eternity. And they were going to execute him and his followers, or his group. And so they were about to hang them. And I don't know if they were about to hang them or they're about to behead them, but they were about to murder them. And so he started speaking in his native tongue, which was Welsh instead of English. Mm-hmm. And the people that were there that were going to murder him, the Indians, they understood some of the words that he was saying in Welsh.
Wow.
And they were like, oh, you speak the language from our ancestors. And they ended up not killing him. They took him back to the elders that were in the community, and he ended up like preaching to that group that could speak the Welsh language.
Wow.
So whether or not this story is true or not, it's a good story.
Yeah. That is interesting to think about, like how like maybe there is that kind of Welsh connection.
And the Mandan people that I talked about that had the lighter skin, apparently a lot of their language, like the root words of their language corresponds with the Welsh language on dozens of words, which is surprising.
Yeah, that's so surprising.
Like it wouldn't be a coincidence that the similarities are there.
Yeah. Wow.
But who knows? I really like the idea of this Prince Madoc guy, but it doesn't have a lot of concrete evidence to it. But you can see how
there's some loose armor and stone walls and Welsh language. That's some evidence. Yeah.
You could see how the English would like to use this as a political tool, though, to be like, oh, well, we were here first.
Well, we were here. We got here a little bit before you guys. Of course, again, it's the Welsh, not the English. So that makes it a little bit more like, of course, the English want to claim everything that's United Kingdom, but like it's actually kind of cool if it's the Welsh.
Oh, I got one more weird thing about this.
Oh, yeah.
Is that so when researching this, I came across this Cherokee legend called the Moon-Eyed People, and in Cherokee, the Moon-Eyed people in Cherokee lore, apparently there is this race of people who only come out at night because the moon is the only way that they can only see by moonlight. The sun is too strong for their pale eyes to be able to see, so they only come out at night.
Weird.
And they're short of stature, and I want to say they have like red hair and beards, and they can't see during the daytime. So the Cherokee went to war against the Moon-Eyed people, and during a full moon, they can't see great because the full moon is still kind of bright. So the Cherokee waited until the brightest full moon of the year and then sent their band of guys in to attack the Moon-Eyed people. And since they were all like squinting and they couldn't see, that they ended up getting slaughtered.
Oh, no, not the Moon-Eyed people.
They wiped out the Moon-Eyed people.
No, damn it. Not the Moon-Eyed people. Why would you do that?
R.I.P. the Moon-Eyed people. But
they were gingers, so...
They might have been. They might have been gingers.
Red hair, right?
Yeah, they were gingers for sure.
Moon-eyed gingers.
But the Moon-Eyed people is not the Welsh, though, because the Cherokee legend is that the Moon-Eyed people were already there when their people arrived in the area, and that would have been like thousands of years before.
Okay, so who do we think these Moon-Eyed people are? The
Moon-Eyed, Hollow Earth.
They're climbing through the middle of the planet. They were coming
up through the Hollow Earth and like the caves of Kentucky and Appalachia, and they're like, oh man, it's bright up here. Oh, there's an arrow in my forehead. Oh.
They come out of Mammoth Cave. Yeah. They're like, ooh,
squinting around
out here.
Yep.
I'm gonna go back underground.
These are the Moon-Eyed people, dude. Gotta watch out for them.
I wish I met a whole bunch of Moon-Eyed people.
It kind of sounds like an insult.
Sounds like a whole bunch of dwarves.
Yeah,
that came out of like the caves and they're like
the mines of Moria.
Yeah. And they're just like, oh, I can't.
Man,
see
I've been in there for so long.
I've only been can't do this.
But
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
I wonder if he did it. I wonder if
Prince Madoc did it.
Yeah, I wonder if he made it. What do you think?
I kind of want to say that he probably did make it and assimilated into like one of the tribes or whatever.
I mean, assimilating would make the most sense because like you're surrounded and
you could be persecuted like a certain amount of times until your band is so small that you don't have a choice, and you find another group of people who is willing to take you in.
Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think I mentioned it in another episode, but like how quickly we can forget where we came from.
Oh, it doesn't take but a few hundred years.
Yeah, like
even if that.
I did the ancestry thing, and it's fun to follow. Like, ooh, I'm from here, and I'm from here, I'm from here. But like, really, we're only really from where our parents tell us we're from.
Right.
What I mean by that is like, even if it, like, let's say I had like, I think I have like 1% native blood, which is silly. I have 1% native. I am not connected to native culture really at all.
Right.
Not because I don't love it or don't want to be. It's just, it's not part of my family tradition. I never heard about it. I never experienced it. And so if I didn't have this blood test, I would just never know that.
You're not a blackjack dealer at the casino.
Yeah. So like if that's the case, like that's not my own tradition. We only really are what we know that we are and what we think we are. Like even if our
what
blood
you identify as.
Hardly, because I couldn't be just like right now. I'm like, yes, actually, I am native. Like it wouldn't make sense.
Right, exactly. It's on a spectrum, maybe.
I guess
your choice has a little bit of impact in that, but also your upbringing does too. It's kind of like a nature versus nurture.
Yeah,
thing.
like
it's always going to be both.
Yeah, and we're gonna make a choice, but like we can't like arbitrarily bring back something like that was like. Those natives, if they were part Welsh, would never be like, oh yeah, I'm Welsh. That like was forgotten many generations ago. And that's okay. Like they are different people now.
One of the things I meant to say is that one of the stone structure areas, the Native Americans that lived around there, I want to say it was like a band of Cherokee or maybe like a subset of a band of Cherokee. They were subjected to that forced relocation that the government did. At some point, you know how we like displaced Native Americans off their land and moved them to somewhere else. And so they had to move away from their quote unquote like homeland or whatever, like the place that they had known where the structures were.
Yeah.
And after they moved, they caught a disease and that whole culture was wiped out. So there was it wasn't the Cherokee. It was like a smaller group of people. Yeah. And so no like further testing or investigation or interviews were able to be conducted with those people who had a very strong connection to the potential Welsh white speaking group heritage that they had identified with in their like origin story.
Yeah, like it was just kind of gone.
Not their origin, but like in their history that they had meetings with a white people that spoke a different language.
Which is, I would love if it was the Welsh. You know that in Wales they have more castles per capita than anywhere.
I have heard that. That is really cool.
It's a very beautiful land. I was there a couple of years ago.
Is it like look out the window and see a castle for sure?
Yeah, it literally looks like Skyrim there.
Wow,
like it's just amazing. I mean, probably the ruins of a castle, but still, I like castles.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, I feel like there's something inside of me as maybe it's just because I'm mostly. Just
Native American.
Because I'm just like 90% British, like English, Scottish, Welsh. That's me.
Yeah.
It's like 80%. It's a lot of percent. I don't know how much it is. Scottish, English, whatever. Anyways, I feel like there's part of me that just wants to be in an English castle somewhere.
Just feel like at home.
Yeah. I'm just like, I get there.
Yeah.
I'm in a castle.
I can see that. Yeah.
I'm in a castle drinking my whiskey.
Yep. So, Jesse, do you have
Yeah, we're talking about Welsh. I actually let's jump to Ireland, man.
No, that's not very far away. You can skip a rock from Wales to Ireland. Pow! I couldn't because I suck at skipping rocks, dude.
So there is a very old legend. Like we're talking 400s.
Oh, wow. That's
480s, maybe so nearly to 500s, but still.
That's like a good 600 years before the Madoc story.
Yeah, you know the Irish. The Irish are always in every legend somehow, some way.
Ambitious.
The Irish are really the most ambitious people ever. They're like, hey, how can we be part of every legend?
I'm going to say something about that later. Yeah.
They're always part of every legend. So have you ever heard of Brennan the Navigator or Saint Brennan?
Not before this episode.
Yeah, I don't think we would ever really
Not before that YouTube video we watched.
So he was an abbot You know, we've talked about the monastic abbots. He was actually
He was the leader of an abbey. Is that what an abbot is?
yeah. He was the leader of an abbey, but he had like 3,000 monks under him. So it's
How big was this abbey?
It's probably multiple abbeys throughout.
I see. Look at Abbey Network.
Yeah. He's from the County Kerry. So
Like the
have you ever
University
been
of
to Kerry?
Troy. What?
The County Kerry is like that's where like it's just kind of a cool space, but that's also probably one of the more traditional places in Ireland.
Okay.
If you go there, there's this kind of like walk called the Ring of Kerry, not the Ring of Fire, but the Ring of Kerry that you can walk. It's very nice.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, he allegedly had 3,000 monks under him. So he's a popular guy.
You could go to war with 3,000 monks, I think.
I mean, it's Ireland, so they probably did. Well, and it actually says that there was a moment that he was in spiritual warfare. This is like midway of his life. He's like living and there's a monk who comes and visits him that's weeping called Barine, which I'm probably saying that wrong. And he's like, buddy, why are you crying? You can't be crying here. He's like, I've seen the most beautiful thing.
What was the most beautiful thing?
Allegedly, it's the promised land of the saints, or the land of the blessed, as some call it.
Was it a vision that he had?
It was a place he went. He says he sailed to the west, and for 15 days he came to a land and he walked for 15 days without food or water, and he met some mystical guy at a river, and he was just so moved by the whole experience that he was weeping that he left.
He just left.
Yeah, St. Brendan's like, wow.
Oh, that's a cool
This
story.
sounds exciting.
Yeah. How do I do that?
That's exactly what he did. He's like, you know what? I want to go to this strange land.
Yes.
I want to do this.
Sign me up.
So Brendan started praying about it. He's like, you know what? I'm going to choose 14 monks. He chooses 14. I have no idea why 14. Like you would think it'd be like 12, like the 12 apostles or something, but he's like actually 12.
Couple of spare parts, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
this is the 400s, dude. They're not lasting very long.
It reminds me of Letterkenny whenever they keep on calling Stuart, they call them spare parts. I'm like, yep. There's two of these guys that are absolutely spare parts.
Oh, yeah.
There's two monks that are absolutely spare parts in this group.
This is when the smallest thing would like kill you back then.
Yeah. Well,
they still thought that you had to like drain the humors from your body and
the weirdest things kill these ones. So the 14 monks, they're like, you know what? He's like, let's fast together. Let's pray. Let's see if this is what God wants us to do. And should we go explore the land of the blessed? In his heart, he resolved to go forth for the quest and look for the promised land, the land of the blessed. That's where we're going, which is so exciting. After that long prayer fasting, they leave to the Aran Isles, which is like off the coast of Ireland.
Okay. Pretty short distance, right?
Short distance. It's like a day, not even a day. I got sunburnt on that. Like I was riding bikes all day on the Aran Isles, and I got sunburnt.
So this is a real place.
Yeah, it's real.
Okay.
There's a place there called St. Brendan's Seat. Allegedly, he met a monk under there and got the monk's blessing to go forth and do it. But they also built a boat there. The boat was built of like calf skins.
Oh, yes. It's called a coracle.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know it?
The Welsh also built coracles as well. And some of those that people in the Mandan tribe that I mentioned, they had skin boats too that were built in like the Irish Welsh tradition.
That's interesting. That actually makes it feel a lot more substantial, actually, because most natives did not build boats like
they
that.
would build them out of wood, canoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. You know, cool. I think the coracles, they had to be like oiled or whatever.
They were oiled with animal fat.
Because if otherwise they would break down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would leak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he writes extensively on this whole process.
Okay.
He's like, this is how you make them.
I didn't know that.
Helpful. You know how to make them now.
I would not have ever tried to make a boat out of animal skin in a million years. That would not have been my like first material to go with at all.
But
I would be like, okay, what floats? Wood floats. Okay, let's go with that. Maybe does a cow float? No. Why am I going to try to make wood or a boat out of a cow?
Because they're probably smarter than me and you. Because I think of those big steel ships. They're like, how do you float?
Yeah, exactly. How does a big metal ship float? I don't really know. Something about Bernoulli's property of
exactly
buoyancy.
So after they make these boats, how did you call it?
The coracle.
Coracles. After they make these coracles, one coracle or maybe multiple, they get supplies for 40 days. They get the blessing of Saint Edna, who's the monk that's like kind of hanging out there. He's like, yes, go forth in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Have fun. And they go. Brendan and his companions sailed westward for 15 days until they lost their bearings. And in fact, they just saw large rocks, like huge rocks and cliffs towering down over them. And they were getting hungry. They were a little sad, and the wind's not blowing. They wash up on this like just land. And they're greeted by a dog. The dog's like wagging his tail. It's like, follow me.
It's like, what's up, guys?
Yeah, what's up? Let's do this. Funny. That dog leads him to a hall, and the hall is like completely empty. Like it's just like a big dining
abandoned.
Hall. No, but there's food already. Food is cooked and ready there.
That's a little suspicious.
And they're like, oh, that's very nice. And so they eat.
You're not supposed to eat.
I know. If this was Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, you're definitely not supposed to eat. If this was, it definitely feels like kind of fey creature.
If anything to do with fey stuff, you're not supposed to eat.
But they eat and they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
But St. Brennan.
Have you read Chronicles of Narnia?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Don't in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader that they go somewhere where there's food?
I bet you he got it from this story.
Probably so. Yeah. You can see a little bit of inspiration from this and from like in Lord of the Rings and other things we talked about.
Yeah, I felt like this part of the story was extremely like fey creature, elvish, Sir Orfeo, Sir Gawain kind of feel. Like it was just very,
You should be suspicious of that.
But they thank God, they pray each time, and they eat. And then after 3 days, they decide to board their boats, leave. And St. Brennan's like, don't you guys take anything. Leave it all here.
Of the food that they ate?
Any of the stuff, because they're all on silver plates and silver.
Yes. So don't loot the place.
Yeah, don't be Vikings. don't be Vikings.
This is pre-Viking.
Yeah, and he's like literally, you're not that drunk. You're not that drunk. And he's like, you don't have to steal anything.
Right.
Well, one of the monks is like, I'm that drunk, and I'm going to steal a plate.
Oh man.
And so he steals a plate. He puts a silver plate in his shirt.
Bad decision.
Yeah, it causes some problems. This guy goes wild. He's like, oh, kind of possessed, right?
Because he stole it.
Yeah, because he stole it. At that moment, the guilty brother, the monk who did this, St. Brennan looks up and says, you've done something wrong, buddy. You done messed up.
He just knows.
Yeah, he knows. And there's 2 different texts here. One says a little black boy, which is strange, like a demon, jumps out of his chest. Another says it jumps out of his ass. I don't know which one it is.
I don't have any idea what follow-up question I'm supposed to ask to that. Why was the demon associated with the black boy? That's the obvious question.
Yeah, I don't know if
did he like birth him or like he spontaneously generated him?
It came from his chest. Well, the demon says, I've been here for 7 years. Leave me alone.
On the monk.
He tells St. Brendan, why are you bothering me? Why are you bothering me? I mean, he's just living in his chest or something. But
so he's been possessed for a while is what it sounds like.
But it seems weird because it's like, why is it a little black boy? What's the difference?
This is the 400s or the 500s.
Yeah, they're not like hanging out with like, they don't know about racism or anything.
No.
So, but it feels a little racist.
Racism is the default, like around this
around
time
our
period.
time. So I'm like, this is racist. But they're probably not thinking of it. They're just like, hey, it's a little shadow demon.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that there's a difference between it either comes out of his chest, his bosom here, or it comes out of his ass. I'm not sure. I like that it comes out of his ass.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, that's fair.
Different symbolism there, I think.
And it howls loudly. Why, O man of God, do you expel me from this abode? I've dwelt here for 7 years. I'm hanging out, man. Why would you drive me away? St. Brennan then commands the demon to leave in the name of Jesus. He says, you can no longer bother anyone, even until the day of judgment.
Like St. Brennan should have chosen his companions a little bit better.
Yeah, that companion does then receive last rites, communion, last rites.
That means he's going to die, right?
Oh, he died. He's one of them spare parts. This is
why we brought 14.
Yeah, he got a proper burial and everything, and we're like, okay, cool, you're dead. Bless you, buddy, you're gone. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have stole that. But that's a kind of
were they
weird,
drinking when they did this? Or
likely.
So.
I mean, they're Irish.
This reminds me of a story that this guy told me one time. It was this friends with this girl that I was dating, and he kind of hung around sometimes. But anyway, I'll give you the brief version of it. Is that he became a kleptomaniac when he would drink, and he would just steal things.
Oh man!
And he told me that he was at this party one time, and this is like the early 2000s probably, or like around like 2008 or so. And at this party, he was like thinking nobody was looking, and he was just like taking DVDs off of the shelf and just like putting them in his I don't know, not his pockets or like his bag or something, or just like
could have those big like 90s pockets.
Yeah, he had those like big cargo shorts. He was like stuffing them full of DVDs, and then he had like two armfuls of DVDs and just like was just bursting at the seams with them. The big boxes.
DVDs are coming out.
Yes, exactly. And he's starting to like make his way towards the door. And somebody from like the main bit of the party looks over and they're like, "Hey, Tyler's got DVDs." And Tyler goes, he just throws them all up in the air and he goes, "No, I don't." And he just runs out of the place. I was like, I'm glad he told me that story. I will remember that for the rest of my life.
And that will be in memoriam here.
Yes, it's memorialized in Legends Libations.
Geez.
Yes. Tyler's got DVDs.
No, I don't. Run.
Like, dude, you just use Netflix. This is pre-Netflix, though.
Yeah, exactly. So,
oh, man.
klepto. Yeah, you drink and you start stealing.
That's
what this monk was doing.
Yep. Because your world, when you're drinking, your like whole perception gets into like a tunnel vision, and you're like, okay, no one can see me out of this like little tiny circle right here. So I could
sometimes when I'm drinking, I feel that way. I'm like, no one can see me.
Right. No,
I can't even see me.
What am I doing? See me. No one can see me. Saint Brendan can't even see me.
You don't know?
He could.
Saint Brendan was like,
he could because he wasn't drinking probably.
Yeah, I know what you've done. You stole a plate
made of gold,
and you know that kind of sucks for him because he did die because that little black demon
came out of his chest.
Or thing came out of his chest or his ass.
Yeah.
Everything feels wrong with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the adventure gets weirder because why not, right?
It's like an Alice in Wonderland sort of story.
Oh God, it really is. So they go to an island. It's called the Island of Sheep. And they stay there on Holy Thursday all the way to Holy Saturday. That's the Thursday before Easter, the Holy Saturday. There is a man there that takes care of them. He's just a steward and he provides food for them. He's like, yeah, you guys need food. Steward. But he's like, hey, you need to go celebrate Easter on a different island. So he shoos them off on Saturday night and is like, good luck.
Best of luck to you.
They find a small barren island. When they land there, they decide to roast some of the meat that he gave him. He was a very gracious host.
He just gave him raw meat.
Yeah, I don't know how they were.
How do they keep it refrigerated?
It's Ireland. It's probably pretty cold.
Oh yeah,
maybe they just salt it.
Oh yes, that's true. Salted pork.
As they like are cooking their meat on the island starts moving and then starts going underwater.
Oh wow!
They're like, oh shit, we can't do this. So they jump back on their boat, and watch the island move away.
It's like in the directed VHS sequel, Aladdin and the King of Thieves.
Exactly. And Brendan, who's so knowledgeable, he's like, this island was in fact a giant fish called Jaconus. Jaconus is a fish who just is a giant and hangs around in the ocean and does.
That's cool. Reminds me of like the sea turtle sort of thing.
Exactly. He's like the giant sea turtle, but he becomes a piece of land and he goes under. And so after that,
fish aren't known to like stay still like that though. That's why a turtle makes much more sense.
I bet you he was like a carp.
Okay.
Yeah. Big old carp.
Do they just like chill on the surface?
No, but maybe he's bored.
Sunfish do. Because that's why they're called sunfish, is they like to like bask in the sun, and they look really weird too.
I wonder. I don't know. They then went to another island called the Paradise of Birds. They had a huge tree with tons of birds in it. And at Vespers or evening prayer, the birds would burst out in hymn and verse. One of the flocks flew down to the boat to speak to Brendan. One of the birds from the Island of Birds. You ever watch that movie, Birds?
I'm not familiar with Birds.
Oh, that's a freaky old school.
What is it about? Oh, The Birds. Alfred Hitchcock of The Birds.
Yeah.
Yes.
The murder birds.
No, I have never seen that before.
These are not those birds.
Okay.
These are nice birds. They're like, hey, actually.
These are Pixar birds.
Yeah. And he pretty much, this bird is like, I'm going to inform you about some things.
I'm Zazu, and I'm going to tell you what's what.
I'm going to tell you what's up. And he tells him what's up. He's like, you're going to search for 7 years looking for this place, but you're not going to reach the place of the blessed or the land of the blessed until after 7 years.
Wow.
And then, of course, that steward came back and brought them food and water and provided for the needs. And then it was the Feast of Pentecost. And he instructed them to set sail again. I do not know how this steward always appears. He just always does.
Is he the one that tells them to go somewhere else?
Yeah, always. He always is telling them to go somewhere else.
That's like his stick.
After many months of traveling westward with no sign of island or coast, they then on Christmas they spot an island. On that island, there's a white-haired elder who is also a monk of St. Alba. And upon reaching that island, Christmas Day, they were like, we're going to wash your feet. The abbot washes their feet, and they only eat raw roots and bread.
I was talking to Casey about this the other day. If you were going to eat roots, like what roots were like good to eat?
Potatoes.
Uh-huh.
Well, and maybe dandelions.
Radish.
Oh, radish.
Yeah, maybe some of like turnips.
Turnips would be good.
Sort of thing. So when they say roots, they kind of mean like root-based vegetables.
Maybe.
Or
are they eating like dandelion roots?
Maybe. But they're not eating like a tree root.
No, definitely not a tree root.
Okay.
No, not a tree root. Like vegetables.
All right. Okay. I was just curious because there's a little bit of confusion.
Yeah, that's a little confusion. Like,
yeah.
what kind of roots are you eating?
Mm-hmm.
So on this island, they don't eat any cooked food. I don't know why. That's just one of the rules. But the bread that they eat each day miraculously appears.
Manna.
The lamps that are lit at the church there are always burning. They never burn out. And the monks never grow old.
This place sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. In fact, they actually got to the island 80 years before this and are just all fine. Of course, the abbot was at the chapel and he actually shows them how the oil for the lamps is lit every day. St. Brendan goes with him to chapel and there's an arrow that flies from heaven.
What?
Lights the lamp and then leaves.
The arrow doesn't land?
No, it just lights the lamp and goes.
It's like a Hermes arrow.
Yeah, right. It's like super strange. It replenishes oil and it just leaves. They hung out here for a while. And then on the Epiphany, so after the Christmas season, they decided to leave. Yeah, so about 2 months almost. Oh, no, sorry.
They're just chilling wherever they go.
They're about 3 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're 3 weeks. They chill out here and then they leave.
It's the old time. You could like take it slow back then.
You didn't have to get there in a week. You could take your time. Yeah, exactly. We'll see that a lot with medieval stories. Like they're like, I'm going to stay here for the season. It's Christmas for 3 weeks. I'm going to hang out here.
And people were just fine with that.
Yeah, they were like, sweet, stay here. It's going to be fun. So yeah, like after the Epiphany, they decide that they need to leave because that's what they always do. And so they set sail.
What was their goal, like starting this?
Well, remember,
endeavor?
they're looking for the land of the blessed, or the land of like the saints or something, right?
Okay, so finding none of these places where there was already monks was not.
Yeah, no, these are just other monks that are hanging out. And this is this monastery of St. Albi. They're like, okay, yeah, we need to leave here. They as
Old
much as
Albi.
but I mean, it's kind of cool because that's like the fire is lit by itself. There's bread coming down each day. It's just kind of like their story. That's just how things are working there.
This is a fantastical story.
It's a very magical place.
Yeah.
It's so magical.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, okay, we need to leave. So they do. Without sight of, they sail until Lent. So that can be anywhere between 3 and 5, maybe 6 weeks between Epiphany and Lent. Everything's judged by liturgical calendar here.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to work with it. Sorry.
That's okay.
Their food and water was depleted, and after 3 days without water, they came upon an island and found a well. Well, if you want to know anything about wells, just listen to our last episode. We're not going to talk about
Fountain of Youth.
Fountain of Youth. Get in there. Of course, these monks drink the water, and some fell asleep for 3 days, some for 2 days,
Some for the
1
rest
day.
of our lives.
None for the rest of their lives.
Okay.
The longest is 3 days. They probably were just tired, honestly.
Oh yeah, it would be too.
And honestly,
Being out in the sun makes me tired, dude.
I wonder if like maybe there's some kind of like sense of like the lotus eaters from the Odyssey here. I don't know. Anyways, so they fall into that deep sleep, and St. Brendan, after they all wake up, he's like, we gotta leave here immediately. We can't sleep we can't sleep all day.
It's like when the fire alarm goes off when you're asleep.
It's like anti-latency.
Like, he's like anti-fun too sometimes.
Yeah, he's like, let's get going.
Yeah.
So they sail towards the
He's like your friend that's like, did we pay $600 to come to Disney World and take a nap?
That's where we're gonna go all day. They from opening
Magic
to close.
Kingdom opens at 5:30 in the morning.
We're going.
It's called extra magic hours for a reason.
We're gonna get all the magic hours we can.
Yeah.
Every magic hour is gonna happen right now.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, I just want a nap.
I'm like, dude, I just went to bed 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, right. I just went to sleep and I've been drunk.
Yeah.
So they sailed north, and then after a few days, they hit the calm. Like there's no wind, Their boat drifts aimlessly for 25 days.
There's a word for that, but I can't remember what it is.
Aimless. They eventually, finally, a wind sped them eastward towards the island of Sheep again.
Really?
Yeah, on Holy Thursday.
Wait, do they go in a circle or are they just like...
Yeah, like literally for 7 years they go in a circle.
Oh, that sucks.
Like they're just caught in the trade winds. They're like, boom, 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 boom. So they come for 7 years. They repeat the process of sailing, hitting the Sheep Island on Holy Thursday, going to the Big Fish on Easter, the Birds Island
Fish,
after that.
I like that movie.
Yeah, Big Fish is a cool movie. Did you ever go to that island? But we talked about it in our first episode, Goat Island.
I didn't at that time, but since that, I have gone to the Goat Island
it's
before.
Cool, the town inspector.
It's pretty neat. Yeah, we took some pictures. We saw like 100 goats. It was nuts.
It really is like 100 goats there.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there a couple times, and every single time.
Goats are a little freaky, though, because they have those like horizontal eyes.
Yeah, like square. Or,
like little rectangle eyes. What's up with that?
No wonder they're connected to demons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like literally they repeat this process for like 7 years. They just go through this process.
How long does one cycle take?
I guess a year, because they come back every Holy Thursday.
Gotcha.
And they're like, cool, that was fun. So in that time, the monks, one time during one of these adventures, the monks were speeding towards a boat, or their boat was going towards a huge creature with its mouth open that was spewing like foam from its nose. And they were like, oh shit, this thing's going to devour us. So the monks cried in fear, but right as it was about to eat them, a second beast came up from the west and attacked the beast and cut it in 3 pieces.
That's like in Star Wars Episode 1 where they go to the planet core in those boats and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and they're like caught by that sea monster, and then that bigger sea monster comes and takes a chunk out of that one.
This is one of those moments. This is one of those moments.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happens here. Again, on another occasion, there's a large griffin that starts attacking their boat.
Wow. This is a fantastical place. They're in Prester John land. There's a griffin.
But before it could actually strike them, a larger bird dove out of the sky.
There we go.
The griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of the eagles from Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. Now, there was one day that they came upon an island that had a whole bunch of monks that were like, choirs. They were choirs, like some
choirs of monks.
Yeah, there was a group that was all boys. There was a group that was mixed.
Oh yeah, like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Yeah, kind of something like that. And that they would sing beautifully all throughout the day. That they would sing praises to God, and a cloud of extraordinary brightness covered the island from dusk to dawn. I don't know how a cloud.
What does that mean?
Full of extraordinary brightness.
I can't even begin to imagine what the realistic explanation for that is. Because the story doesn't follow the rules of like normal physics and stuff anyway.
Yeah, I don't even know what to do with that. Now, when they were ready to leave that island, a handful of the monks asked if they could stay, and St. Brendan gave them the blessing to stay with them.
Spare parts,
bud. Spare parts. That's what they were. Now, this is where there's some interesting things. There was a rocky barren island in which they came, where they heard hammers and anvils, almost like you were walking into like a dwarven mine or something. They were all filled with fear and despair as they were approaching it. And as they were getting closer to the island, there was islanders that were throwing like lava at them, lava stones. Ooh. And those lava stones would like fall in the water, hissing and spice, like that water would steam up. Mm-hmm. And more islanders came out and started throwing things at their boat, and they kept on missing them. They would say all the smith, like this was the smith's like steam furnace, like blowing all around them, and they were covered with smoke, and it smelled bad.
So they were trying to drive them off, obviously.
Well, and it had a horrible stench, like
sulfur.
Yeah, exactly. St. Brendan made his companions aware we're on the edges of hell.
I can see where you would think that.
Yeah, and because there was a huge black cliff that a lot of this stuff was flying off of, and so there was kind of a weird thing where like that cliff, a whole bunch of the monks kind of got obsessed with it. A third of the monks got obsessed with it.
Cliff.
And they went and walked to the cliff.
Did they want to jump off of the cliff?
They did.
They did jump off the cliff, or they wanted to jump off the cliff?
They couldn't stop themselves from jumping off the cliff.
This is like the room in Harry Potter with the archway.
Yeah, like it literally, they were powerless to turn back. When they reached the cliff, demons carried them off and set them ablaze.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they were they were brought into hell.
You know what I'm talking about though? Like in the Department of Mysteries in Harry Potter, where there's that arch and they're like feel compelled to walk through it. It's like the same concept of they see the cliff, they want to jump off it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and death is on the other side.
Yeah, and that's what happens here. They all like fall to their death. After that, they saw these huge white crystal mountains.
That could be glaciers. I read about that.
Yeah. So let's even take a moment. Even the lava being thrown at them. Iceland is known for very active volcanoes. So we're seeing some sense of like truth to this, but some kind of mixes here. Like some of it's really fantastical, but some of it's really like
it could be their interpretation of it, like we talked about earlier, about they don't know what's real and what's not past the edges of the map.
Yeah, exactly. And so there was another time that they saw a man chained to a pillar of rock. The wind and the waves were like flailing against him. And Brendan called out to him and said, "Hey, who are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you chained to this rock?" And it was allegedly Judas. And the Lord was showing him mercy by freeing him from torments of hell on every Sunday and any holy day.
That's generous.
That was generous of him.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Anyways,
so had they made it to the land of...
Finally, the travelers reached the island where Brendan found the ancient monks in a cave. These monks were said to be companions of St. Patrick. St. Brendan was born 10 years after St. Patrick died.
I didn't know that.
So they said that they've been living here for 90 years. And again, they repeat the process one more time of going to the land of the sheep.
Oh my goodness.
The land of the fish.
Are we stuck in a Groundhog's Day of this?
No, it's so terrible. But this time, when they get to the land of the sheep, the steward decides to join them rather than...
He hasn't done that before.
Yeah, rather than just heading out. And
just shooing them away.
Yeah, and Jaconus, the fish, decides to lead them on his back to the birds of paradise.
Oh, well, that's much quicker.
Yeah, way quicker. And they are allowed to fill their water vessels at this time. And Stuart guides them. He's like, "Hey, we're going to go here." So they got provision for 40 days and headed west from here.
They broke the cycle?
Yeah, they broke the cycle. They left, headed west. And for 40 days, they just went that way. This really strange, dense fog overshadowed them as they got... They kind of came...
Not the bright fog.
Yeah, not the bright fog.
The dense dark fog.
The dark fog. And many of them were quite scared. And St. Brendan said, "Do you not know, Father?" They asked him, do you not know, Father, what darkness this is? And the saint said, "This darkness surrounds an island which we have sought for 7 years. You will soon see." So he knew like something was happening here.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "This is different than what we've experienced the past 7 years."
It was sort of like a trial and tribulation sort of thing.
Yeah,
they had to go through the tough times, I guess, of the cycle in order to break it.
Yeah, exactly. As their boat kind of hit a shoreline, it like hit the sandbar kind of thing, and
it beached.
They were like they got off, and they saw the land. This land was extensive and thickly set with trees. It was laden with fruits, and it was the autumn season. Furthermore, the time of traversing, they traveled across the land, and it was like light most of the day, which is weird. I don't even know what you say.
It's usually light during the day. As far as I'm familiar with.
And they, for 40 days, traveled into the land until they hit a huge flowing river that they could not cross. And St. Brendan said to the brothers, "We cannot cross over this river, and we must therefore remain ignorant of the size of this country."
What does that mean?
Is this the Mississippi River? I don't know.
Could be.
That's a pretty big river.
Yep.
And so as much as they wanted to explore more, there was this man that met them at the shoreline and explained to them, like, he said, "Peace be with you, brothers.
This is a big river.
It's a big river. Blessed are those who dwell in the house of the Lord." He pretty much just said, "Hey, this is a blessed place." But
this is a big ass river.
He further informed them that God had delayed their finding of the promised land of the saints because he wanted them to discover many things. And go ahead and get yourself a whole bunch of fruit, get yourself a whole bunch of supplies, because you guys are going to have to leave here now. Brennan's...
Congratulations, you made it.
You made it, but we got to go. But he also told St. Brendan that in time, Christians were going to be persecuted and that they were going to have to make peace in this new home. This would be their new home.
Okay.
Now, this is interesting because it becomes a really big part of Anglican theology. The Anglican Church feels like it replaces the Roman Catholic Church, and it's like, hey, we're actually doing the right thing. Very quickly, people like George Herbert realized that the Anglican Church was falling. Mm-hmm. And they're like, actually, the church that's going to America is the one that's going to survive. They're the one who are the blessed. And so this becomes like a really big space of like
how you interpret it.
Protestant propaganda of like the new land, the newfound land, new world to be in like this kind of place of new faith, new creation kind of thing, right?
I could definitely see how that is used from that angle.
So he allowed Brennan and his followers to to gather a whole bunch of fruits, and they went back to Ireland after that.
But this is way before the Protestant Reformation, though.
Oh, like over 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like a prophecy that eventually, and the Anglican Church followed that. They're like, oh, look, see, that's just the Anglican Church doing things like that. They always do shit like that. They're like, look, we're in history. I'm like, actually, you guys are just colonists. That's all you are.
There's a phrase for that. I can't remember what it is.
Viewing themselves and everything. And so, okay, this story does seem kind of weird because it's like they came to this newfound land and then had to leave it.
Newfoundland.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Which would, again, be weird. Like, this whole story is so fantastical. It's so legendary. Like, griffins.
The whole thing is legendary.
Birds,
the
and
giant fish.
magic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything seems so weird.
The meal that replenishes itself.
Yeah. Some of the things that are really weird are, again, the glaciers that maybe we see, the volcano, but also the land of fruit. Like, I mean, like things in America.
Bountiful.
Yeah, bountiful. You go to America, the first thing you see is tons of trees. What makes this even stranger is there's a type of writing called Olgam. Olgam.
Olgam.
It's from around the 500 AD area. It's a series of lines. Like it literally doesn't even look like language. It's so strange. It looks like
someone was practicing with an axe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just weird. But they found the same kind of writing in Virginia and West Virginia.
That's telling.
From the same time period. So what makes this kind of complicated is it does seem that somehow this Irish system of writing that was only popular in Ireland and no one else used was also in the Virginias.
How did they get there?
Exactly. And those are full of trees. It's autumn. It's full of like, so even though the story of Brendan the Navigator, St. Brendan is so like outlandish, there seems to be some truth to the fact that St. Brendan himself or his companions had made it to America and came back.
And made this writing.
Furthermore, the legend itself, of course, was written 3 centuries after him. So, of course, it got like extended.
Yeah,
it
always
things
does.
got added to
adapted.
It seems like parts of the Odyssey got kind of tacked onto it. There was a guy in 1977 who wanted to prove that this was actually possible. So he built a replica of the same kind of boat and sailed from Ireland to North America, and it actually worked. It went really well.
He built one of the coracles?
Yeah, he built the coracle.
That's cool.
And so the kind of like reality of it is like maybe a big maybe, but this is so surrounded by legend that I'm not sure I know what to do with it after that.
It almost is like an Alice in Wonderland type tale, though, on one side.
I know that's like the issue of it is it's so Alice in Wonderland that I'm like, where's the caterpillar with the pot?
The anchors to reality are few and far between, but they're not so far removed from
that I can't see it. It's not so far that I can't see it. It's just far enough where I'm like, I don't know if I'm sure about this. Like it doesn't feel so real. Hey, do you want double cranberry on this one?
Yeah, that sounds
so
good.
One of the things about this drink I'm noticing is that the cranberry is nice, but I'm not like it doesn't feel very potent.
No, it doesn't. But the whole drink just tastes like cranberry and like aromatics or whatever the herbal taste.
Are you sure you want double cranberry?
I might want double linea.
Double linea?
Yeah. Let's go with more linea.
Okay.
But I like St. Brendan the Navigator. He definitely earned his name, St. Brendan the Navigator. And he also like kept his group of monks on task a lot of the time when they were kind of like getting a little bit distracted.
Yeah, he was like, hey, let's get back on.
It harkens back to other folklore and stories, like I mentioned the Chronicles of Narnia and like you mentioned the Odyssey, where like some of your crew are meant to get sidetracked or like bound to get sidetracked.
Some of them are
want to
spare
stay. Yeah, exactly. Some of them won't get hooked into whatever the gimmick of the island is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it feels like a Dungeons and Dragons game. Like I feel like they're definitely going to lose some of your guys in this.
Yeah,
the Odyssey, the Voyage of the Uncharted. It's definitely going to happen. Is it better with more linea?
No.
More
More stronger.
It's more stronger.
It's more stronger. Okay.
Noted.
So we've touched on some fantastical stories. We grew a little bit more outlandish.
Yeah, definitely got. St. Brendan was extremely outlandish.
Yeah. I don't want to call it like outlandish, but fantastical, I think, is a good word to describe it. Like there were some things happening that were not rooted in modern realms of thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly to call that, but Prince Maddox kind of started out with that, and it was a little bit out there, and then you have, especially with the Moon-Eyed people, but that wasn't the same guys necessarily.
Exactly,
but we have St. Brendan, but then we want to like tie it back in.
I don't feel like I can say for sure that St. Brendan is the first to America. I'm not sure where he was. I'm not sure who.
It sounds like he could have been doing circles in the Mediterranean. Like who knows? How long was he on those boats for? Yeah. The coracles aren't really meant for the open ocean a lot of time anyway. But you said that some guy did a test and he managed to make it.
Yeah,
so, yeah, exactly.
Allegedly, maybe he made it, but maybe he didn't.
Maybe, but
I know that there's one guy
who definitely made it.
Who definitely made it before Columbus, that we can say for sure.
Without a doubt, made it to North America before Columbus.
Give us the name of this badass.
That badass is Leif Erikson.
Really what we were going for this whole show is Leif Erikson, because we were thinking Vikings.
And we want it to be about Vikings, but Leif Erikson does not embody the term Viking as much as like the show Vikings does.
God, the show Vikings has so much Viking.
So much Viking in it. And dude, I'm going to tell you a lot about some Viking stories in North America if you're ready for it.
Wait. I don't know if I'm ready for it.
Okay, take a deep breath. Make yourself a drink. Do you want me to go ahead and start, though?
Yeah, actually, go ahead and start. I'm fine. You don't need to wait for me.
Okay, so Vikings, the Vikings didn't actually call themselves Vikings.
I figured.
But because most of what we know about Vikings is written by the people that they like raided and pillaged for like 400 years.
As it goes.
Yeah, as it goes. They actually referred to themselves as Northmonna, which just meant Northmen or Norsemen. And they were the peoples who resided from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark mostly.
Oh, I see.
And since like the geography in those places was like super mountainous and thick forest, they had to move goods by sailing. And so they became very good at seafaring. And like that was like their way of doing things, transporting goods and people was on the ocean because they couldn't go inland because it was just like too thick of a forest.
Yeah.
So they actually made a breakthrough in shipbuilding technology. And a lot of times you associate Vikings with like their longboats.
Yeah, the long ships.
Yeah, the long ships. And that's because their ships were far superior to any other ships at the time. Other ships at the time had to be built around a frame. So you built the frame first, and then you filled in the frame with like the wooden planks. And there's Maggie being cute back there.
We got a Kit Kat.
Yeah, we decided to let her in because she's actually well behaved for the most part. And I hope I don't eat those words. Okay, so they built the boats around a frame, and the frame had to support the weight of the mast, and it had to support the weight of the deck. And this made it like structurally weak because it was all built around this frame.
Yeah, of course.
And it couldn't hold a lot of people or a lot of cargo. But this unnamed Norse shipbuilder around around 800 AD, he came up with this way to construct boats that did away with the frame entirely. And instead of having a frame, it would just be one long piece of one long trunk of an oak tree. And the oak tree, they would bend it. They would bend the trunk. And this was called the keel. And every part of the boat would be attached to the keel. So all the planks were overlapped in this like clinking formation. Okay. And then everything.
Like Lincoln logs?
I'm not sure if it's like
probably better than that.
Probably not like that, but maybe like that. Like when you kind of like do like you have a 4x4 or like a 2x4 piece and a 2x4 piece, and you do like two of them on that one. And then two of them on another one. So they're like in like a clinker sort of thing.
Okay. I see.
So they're all held together like that and hammered to, or like nailed to the keel as well. So this one long piece of an oak tree allowed it to be more flexible with the ocean. And it was more resilient to like the waves and stuff. It wasn't structurally weak. It could flex. That's
could flex with
it could flex.
the ocean.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And so this allowed them to create these boats that were very shallow in the water. They only went about like 3 feet deep or so. And so it made them really efficient for beaching on the land, and then all their guys could jump out and like commit a raid.
If it's only 3 feet, that's like half of my body. Like,
yeah, exactly. So like you knew if your boat was like beached, you could stand in the water. Yeah, exactly. You could jump out and you would be good to go. So they were like a people that warred amongst themselves a little bit.
Yeah,
in the beginning.
Well, they were Vikings.
Yeah, exactly. They were Vikings, and eventually, I think they kind of gathered the idea that this was not like a sustainable strategy, that they needed to
eventually this isn't going to work out.
They needed to, they needed to work together. So they took that spirit of cultural unity, and
we're the same in some ways.
Yes. So we should not attack each other. And so that's where they started their like raiding across. People. Yeah. They started
raid the Europeans.
Let's raid everywhere.
Everywhere
is what it was. They raided to the east into like what is now modern day Russia. They took these shallow bottom boats into rivers like the Volga River, and they took them down to Constantinople, where actually the emperor of Constantinople, he hired a bunch of Vikings as his like personal guard.
Yeah, they were bigger than everyone.
Yeah, they had some kind of name that I can't remember what it is. I didn't write it down.
Have you ever noticed that things in the north are bigger than in the south?
Oh, yes. I'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't know what the reason is for that, but they did tend to grow bigger. And they were called the Rus for the like Constantinople people. And they also went around the Mediterranean. And so like it just was just like in the Viking blood to just like expand everywhere, it seemed like.
Yeah, they were like, they were really the first conquerors. Mm-hmm. Like, I always think it's funny when people like lift up Viking culture, but then get mad about colonization.
Romanticize.
Like, they like romanticize the Vikings, which don't get me wrong, they're badasses. Mm-hmm. I get that. But if you're going to romanticize
one
the Vikings,
and the other, you can't pick and choose which ones.
But then get mad at the English and Spanish for the shit they did. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact is, they're all colonizers who knew how to do business.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Another thing that was important about the Viking ships is that other ships, since they were structurally weak, they had to have small sails, but the Viking ship could have a big sail.
Big old
and
sail.
And therefore it could go against the wind and like cut across the wind. And
it cuts. I think the Viking sail could cut 20% into the wind, so it could go into the wind. It could tack back and forth into the wind. Yeah.
It was much more maneuverable than the other type of ships of the day. So the real Viking age starts in 793 when they raided this like monastery island off the coast of England called
the Holy Island of Lindisfarne.
Yeah.
They have the best mead.
I didn't know that, but
it's only an island during high tide, but low tide it becomes a peninsula.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So that like really starts the golden age of the Viking age. And since the Vikings were never satisfied with the places that they were in for some reason, that they always had to constantly expand. So you have the Vikings moving from, and I got a map for you. Here's the Viking expansion map right here. And
a Viking expansion map.
Yes, the Viking expansion map. So the Vikings took stepping stones from England, where they hit up Lindisfarne. Where's England? I can't see upside down.
England's right there.
Yeah, okay, so
Lindisfarne's right
in there. So they went from there to the Shetland Islands, which I think is right here.
Yeah, it's up here.
And then they went from there to the Faroe Islands, which is this one right here. Yep. And there they went to Iceland. And you know who they found in Iceland?
Giants.
The Irish.
Oh, shit.
The Irish had already been to Iceland in their coracle boats.
Yeah, it's because of St. Brendan.
Yeah, exactly. That leaves a little bit of credibility to that story.
They're already there because they've already got there. Yep.
And they were kind of like passive there.
Monks from the monk tradition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they found the Irish that were already there. In 874 is when the Vikings arrived in Ireland.
Yeah, I could see that.
And before, like you imagine Iceland as being like this desolate, not desolate necessarily, but volcanic, sort of like shrub land place where the stuff
volcanic shrubland. Yes. Yeah, mm-hmm. Hell.
And it wasn't always like that. There was actually a lot of dense forest there before the Vikings arrived. But when the Vikings arrived, they're like, all right, we're about to cut this shit down.
We're gonna take our axes and cut this down.
So they cut it all down.
They were literally Paul Bunyan before Paul Bunyan.
They were Paul Bunyan before
They
Paul
were like,
Bunyan.
we are Paul Bunyan.
We're a race of Paul Bunyan.
We are the race of Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, so the Irish were already there by the time, but the Vikings just kind of said, we're going to like take over this place now.
Yeah, like with their Paul Bunyan powers. So
Yeah,
cutting down trees. And
so they cut down all those trees. They established a bunch of homesteads. And by the time, after 100 years of settlement, Iceland was full. Like Iceland couldn't take any more guys because not a lot of the land, after they cut down the trees, it like permanently changed the ecosystem there and it couldn't support as much life.
It's weird to think about how like in the modern day, we think we change like the environment so much, but actually in medieval days, they were changing the environment like crazy because they would chop down forests that just wouldn't be there anymore.
That's a good point.
Even like the hunting of wolves in England and Scotland was, there was by the 17th century, 1600s, there was none there. So you're like, we always blame it on our modern day, but it's like, actually, it's everyone's fault.
That's true.
It's not just us. It's not modern people. It's all people.
And this is a fundamental characteristic of the Viking culture is that they have to have timber wherever they go because it is essential to their way of life because this shipbuilding is crucial to their like strategy of expansion all the time and trade.
They would be so good at Settlers of Catan.
They would be, and I do
they
love
are
Settlers of Catan. They are the OG Settlers of Catan.
OG.
Yep. So after Iceland was kind of getting a little bit crowded, there was...
It's not big.
No, it's not very big. There was this rumor that there was some land to the west of Iceland.
Was it Greenland?
You're right. It was totally Greenland. In 986, Eric the Red, who you may have heard of, he's one of the more infamous Vikings.
I feel like I know a guy named Eric the Red.
Well, this guy named Eric the Red was outlawed from Norway, and the exact quote is, "On account of some killings and that."
On account of some killings and whatnot.
Yeah. So he had to move to Iceland. So he was an outlaw. And then in Iceland, he thought, or like he said that somebody murdered some of his slaves that he had. So he went and murdered the person who supposedly murdered his slaves.
Yeah, he's like, you murdered my slaves.
So I'm going to murder you. And so he got banned from Iceland.
He's getting banned from everywhere.
He's getting banned from everywhere. He's getting like kicked out. He's like the local bar and he's like getting kicked out. So he's got to go find somewhere else. So he takes his followers, and I can't believe people were actually following him, to Greenland, which is to the west. And nobody has ever been there before, except for maybe like native Inuit people who are there. And he comes back after a few years and he's like, oh, hey guys, this place over there I'm going to call it Greenland, to hopefully like attract some more followers and call it Greenland as opposed to Iceland.
Get to some tourism.
Yeah. And people were like, yeah, let's go. There's 25 ships worth of people set out to go to Greenland, and 11 of the ships sank and there were no survivors from those 11 ships. That's like 40% of your crew right there.
Wow.
Yeah. But
it sucks.
He did end up settling.
I mean, he still has like 14 ships.
Yeah. 14 ships. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. I mean, it's not even that far though. Like, look,
yeah,
that's pretty close.
Like it's only 2 fingertips away.
I mean, that's almost as much from the Faroe Islands right here.
And even more from like, you think about Ireland, those Irish people.
Oh man, I forgot to tell you the important thing though is that the ice cap expands like out into here during like the frozen time. So there's like these big icebergs in the North Atlantic that are breaking off, and they're making the route like super hazardous a lot of the time.
I wonder if that's what St. Brendan, when he saw the like crystal.
Yeah, the crystal cliffs. Yeah, you have to swing out pretty far to avoid that area where the ice freezes the ocean. Because like salt makes the freezing point of stuff lower. Yeah. So imagine how cold things have to be for the entire like ocean to freeze. And this is like way out here. So a lot of the times when they set out from Iceland and land in Greenland, they would end up on the west coast or like the southern tip, like down here.
Because it was
dangerous. Yeah, this is like the most dangerous point of the whole North Atlantic is right in this area from Iceland to Greenland.
Okay, I see.
And so they form the colony here, and the colony goes really well in Greenland for a long time. it actually does have a fair amount of hospitable land right here along the coast on the southern tip.
I could see that.
I think there were about 200 homesteads that have been identified in modern times, and they think that supports about like 5,000 people probably.
200
homesteads, like farm
5,000 people.
Yeah, so each homestead had like its like main family and a bunch of like workers and stuff like that, and then they stayed like generally far apart from each other.
Stay away.
Mm-hmm.
They were
experiencing some social distancing, or the first people to do that. Yeah, so
it's a lot of land to explore.
Oh, okay.
But like so much of it's unexplorable.
Yeah, something that you just said that reminded me of this is that they excavated skeletons in Greenland and they compared them to other Vikings DNA wise that were in like Norway and Iceland and other places. And they found out that the skeletons in Greenland were 2 inches taller on average than the people that lived in the other places. So
protein. Yeah,
exactly. So like obviously Greenland was good for these guys.
Makes them big. Like, and I mean, like, think about it. All the deer in north part of America versus the south part of America are bigger. All the birds are bigger. Everything is bigger in the north. And
why is that?
Because they have to survive the winter. So
they beef up more.
Yeah, they store up more. Mm-hmm. And so why would it be different for
We should
people?
replenish our blueberries, dude.
Okay.
I like some blueberries. But in Greenland, do you want to guess what the number one export from Greenland was?
Seal fat.
No, I mean, maybe. But that's not what I was going to say. Narwhal tusk.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now?
No, back then.
Oh, what are people doing with narwhal tusk?
They were eating it.
How do you eat that?
You grind it up into a powder. Okay, so it was one of these like panacea type things that they thought could cure any disease. And so they would export the narwhal tusk from Greenland back to mainland Europe, and the nobles in mainland Europe would grind up the narwhal tusks and like drink it and put it in a beverage and
like
consume it. Yeah, because they thought that it would cure any disease and like extend their life and stuff. It's sort of like how they thought that mercury and stuff would do that in like China and places, but instead of dying, consuming a little bit of narwhal tusk doesn't really like harm you very much.
This gives you some calcium, I'm sure.
Yeah, but there are no surviving narwhal tusks artifacts from this time period because the nobles ate all of them. It's like one of the weirdest facts that I've ever read. At one point, narwhal tusks were worth 24 times their weight in gold at the time than they are like currently.
I'm going to be honest. When you say narwhal, I think of the movie Elf, where the narwhal comes out of water and says, I hope you find your dad. So it goes back in the water.
That's funny. I do like a good narwhal. So we talked earlier about the ship. We're going to talk about some expeditions that the Greenlanders took.
Yeah, because Greenland is very close to America. It's as close to America as it is to Iceland.
Yeah, these are like the stepping stones to North America.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. And so in addition to like the awesome shipbuilding techniques that the Vikings had, they also had some good navigation techniques attached to that. And one thing that they had access to that other Europeans didn't was called the sunstone. Have you heard of it?
I saw that in Vikings.
Oh, okay. I have not seen Vikings, but as far as I know, this is like a certain kind of crystal that is carved in a particular shape, like a square, rectangle or something like that.
Sure.
And it can allow seafarers to pinpoint the position of the sun even when it's beyond the horizon or behind clouds.
Yeah.
Because
it lets them see where.
Yes, it can like diffuse polarized light or something in some kind of scientific sounding thing. This is not like science and shots. This is Legends and Libations.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is not optics and orange juice. But the sunstones allowed them to be able to navigate even during times of like nighttime or twilight or cloudy weather. And so they could still see where they were going.
Science and sips.
Sips and science. I like that. And they also did this thing that is a lot of common sense to me, really, that I didn't realize this before. But when they were making the journey from Norway, like eventually the trade expanded from like Norway to Iceland, and they took out the middlemen of like these islands and stuff, is that they would send up the ravens They would have ravens with them. And if the raven went backwards, that meant that the raven could still see the homeland of Norway. But if the raven went forwards, that it saw land ahead was closer than land behind. There was no land behind. Or if the raven landed on the mast, like went up and circled and landed back on the mast, that it couldn't see land at all. So this is kind of like the story in the Bible when Noah was on the ark and he sent out the dove, and eventually the dove brought back the olive branch, which meant that it like signified that it had saw land. And I didn't make that connection between the Bible story and this story until later on. And I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. So like they could use a raven because the raven, since the earth's not flat, it can see further along than we can being on the surface. And that's how they navigate it. And because like the distance, like you said, is not very far.
Yeah, it's not so far.
Yeah.
It's not so bad. And also it's like there's that raven symbol of wisdom from Odin's time, right? Mm-hmm. So that's cool.
One day there will be a Legends and Libations about the Vikings in general.
We will do Vikings episodes.
Because their mythology deserves its own episode.
Yeah, we might need 3 episodes for that.
Yeah, exactly. So Eric the Red was the settler of Greenland, and that is where Leif Erikson was born.
Leif Erikson. So famous.
The main character of our episode.
The character of our episode finally makes himself present.
Makes his appearance on the scene. And this is around the time of 1000 AD or so. Let's back up a little bit. There was this guy, his name was Bjarni, and Bjarni had made a voyage from Iceland to Greenland, but he had got blown off course and by those winds and those storms, you know what I mean? And he got blown almost all the way to the coast of northern Canada, but he saw some land off in the distance from his ship, and he was like, oh, that doesn't really look like Greenland. I'm going to turn back. I'm not so sure about this. I'm a little bit scared.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, land. I don't know about this land. I'm going to go home. And so he got so close, but he circled back. He comes back to the settlement.
He must have a lot of beef jerky to make that trip.
Probably so.
They'd be like, yeah, I'm going to turn back.
Or he was just a huge I don't really know about that.
Yeah, but he just jumps back on us.
So he comes back to Greenland, and 15 years later, Leif Erikson is in like the marketplace or whatever, and he's like talking to this merchant, and this guy's telling him this story about this time when he was younger that he had sailed to the west and had seen this land off in the distance, that like a massive land with like trees and forests and stuff. And it wasn't just an island. There. He was like, no, I'm not going there. And Leif Erikson was like, I don't mind if I do. Like, we can't grow trees great on Greenland. Greenland's not great for growing trees. It's okay for doing sheep and stuff like pasture land.
Yeah, but
it's not great at timber at all.
Yeah, and we as Vikings,
we need timber. Mm-hmm. So Leif buys Bjarni's boat from him. Mm-hmm. Because he's like, this is symbolic. I need to take Bjarni's boat the extra mile that he did not take it. And he sets sail.
It seems like it was an extra mile.
It does. It literally does. He sets sail in about the year 1000 and with a crew of 35 people. And he heads west across the ocean. And the first place that he runs into, let me pull out our map from earlier.
Yeah, our American map.
Our American map.
Okay, so
he goes west from Greenland.
Freedom!
And the first place that he runs into is, he calls it Helljund, which translates to mean slab land, which means that it was just rocks. Yeah, there was no greenery at all. And they think that this is like a modern day, it's called Baffin Island. It's about...
Yeah, that's Baffin Bay.
Okay, so this is Baffin Island, I think. Mm-hmm. And so he looks at this with his crew. He's like, I don't know about this. This is probably not the most hospitable of territories. We're not going to be able to grow anything.
It's rock.
It's just rocks. And so we're going to head south. So they get back on the boat. I don't even know if they go ashore.
Well, you know, like heading that far north is pretty cold. I wouldn't think anything gross there either.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, like, they're setting sail from like down in like the southern part of Greenland anyway. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was like the trade winds or whatever, or like the currents that kind of blew them to the north. It might have been down here where they were. I can't read upside down.
Well, either way, like no matter what, whether they're there or there, they're very far north.
This place sucks. Yeah, exactly.
Like
Okay.
none of us are going to make a home there. Hudson Bay, though, on the other hand.
We'll talk about that in a minute. So they get back on the boat and they travel for a couple of days towards the south. And they end up sighting this place right here that could be southern Labrador. I think this is like Labrador Island.
Yeah, that
Labrador, something like that. Somewhere down in here. And they call this Markland, which translates to forest land. They see a bunch of trees and it looks really beautiful. I think this place is
like what we see with St. Brendan.
Mhm. It looks like a good place to be. I am surprised that they did not stay here, but he wanted to like really strike the motherland of good places to colonize. And he says, we're going to get back on the boat and we're going to go south even more. They get back on the boat and he sails for 2 more days to the south and they land, which is what I think is Newfoundland, which is right here, I think. And this is going to be called Vinland. And Vinland means wine land, if you want to take it from that translation, or it could mean meadowland, or like a good like pasture grazing place. But it's obviously way closer to a temperate climate than it's better climate than Greenland itself.
Yeah,
they're like, this place is better than Greenland.
I mean, it is like quite a bit of distance on the
in the latitude. Latitude is like a ladder, so that's like your north and south. That's how I remember that. Okay, so that was in about 1000 AD with his crew of 35. So this Vinland area is where they're going to spend the winter in 1000. And he's like, this place is awesome. We get some timber and some grapes or something, which may not be grapes, which brings us back to our berries of our Linya. It could have been some other kind of berries, but so we went with the blueberries for our drink.
We went with blueberries because they're
the best berry. Blueberries, best berries.
Blueberries.
I think.
I mean, we could have done cranberries,
but we already had cranberry.
Yeah, this is part of why we chose this Linya berry drink or cocktail is because like Linya, first of all, is like from Norway, which so is like the Viking stories. But like not to mention the fact that it's berries. These berries are like abundant here in the United States.
And that's why I called it Vinland.
Yeah. Wineland, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so they make camp where they're going to stay for a while. And they call it Leifsbjorn, I think, is what they call it, which means like... It's like Leafs huts or something.
Yeah, Leafs home.
Leifsbjorder. And that means huts. Leafs temporary shelters. That's what it means.
Leafs home, house. Temporary camping site.
Yes. So he tells them that you can explore for a bit, but don't go without a sight of the settlement and don't go without a friend. So you got to use like the buddy system. And
come in pairs.
Yeah, keep your guys with you so we don't get lost. And one guy goes off by himself and he finds the grapes. So instead of getting in trouble, he actually finds what like the land is named for. Mm-hmm. And I guess he got lucky because he broke the rules.
He broke the rules, but he brought wine back.
He did. But they did not encounter any Native Americans on this trip. They stayed for one winter in Newfoundland on this like northern point off like where Maine is down here.
Yeah.
And they decide, okay, well, I'm just going to take some timber and some of these grapes back to Greenland and show everybody what we got. So they go back to Greenland and people really like the story.
You know why I think they went back?
Why is that?
Because there wasn't enough girls with them.
You're right.
Like it's a whole bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like
if it was sausage fest.
Yeah, if it was guys and girls, they would have just not gone back. They would have just made a home there because that would have been great. Mm-hmm. Like way better living there than over here. But because they had just a whole bunch of men, they were like, actually, we're going to go home and tell our ladies about this so that we can create a new life. Personal opinion.
I agree, but we're going to see that they don't learn their lesson about that for some reason. Mm-hmm. They are kind of ignorant to the fact that they don't want to settle in North America because of the lack of women. So they go back and Leif's dad died, Eric the Red. Mm-hmm. So Leif became the king or the main king, the main guy of Greenland. So he couldn't like venture.
For him.
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't venture off to North America anymore.
No, you can't do that if you're busy.
No, you got some responsibilities to do. So instead, his brother Thorvald Eriksson is going to go. And so he returns to Leifsbjorder in 1002 AD. So just like 2 years later. And he uses it as a base camp to explore up and down the coast. So he went back to where they were in Newfoundland.
Can you
right
imagine
here.
trying to find the same place? Back then, like now I use like Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
But finding the same place that your brother found 2 years ago on a boat where you use a freaking crystal to find your way there.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
It was like we found this with a crystal and a raven.
My God.
Eat some of the blueberries that are in your thing, dude. They're good.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm saving them.
You're saving them. I already ate a bunch of mine. So Thorvald, he returns to Leifsbjerder, and during one of his like reconnaissance missions, he finds 9 Native Americans that are sleeping under their canoes on a beach, and he's like, "We should kill these." Wow. And so they start slaughtering them, and they kill 8 of them, and the 9th one's like, "What?" And he gets up, gets his canoe, and he just books it, and he leaves. And later on, that one guy, he returns later with a larger group of Native Americans, and they attack their base camp. And Thorvald ends up getting shot with an arrow, and he dies. So he's the first European to ever die on American soil, and he ends up being buried there, which becomes his legacy.
What's his name?
Thorvald.
Yeah, there you go.
To Thorvald. But maybe if he hadn't like senselessly slaughtered those people, that may not have happened. But
maybe if he was better than what he was, but
yeah, who knows about that? So his crew returns to Greenland without him, and in 1004, another brother, Thorstein, and this gets a little bit confusing because we got Thorvald and now we got Thorstein. And there's going to be more. So he sets sail to go back to Vinland, which is the name that they have christened North America as. And he does not make it all the way because there are storms. And the storms cause him to have to return to Greenland. And he dies of an illness shortly afterwards. So basically he sucked and couldn't make it. He couldn't make it from here to here.
Why could he not make that?
Because there were some storms or something. Oh, and he got sick and he died. Oh.
Like how bad could storms have been?
I don't know. But even in death, his wife marries somebody else named Thorfinn. So now
the same name.
We had Thorvald, Thorstein, and now Thorfinn.
God. How are we supposed to handle this?
I have no idea. Okay, so Thorfinn is not related to the Ericssons at all. Thorfinn is actually Leif's brother's widow's new husband. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
And he takes a crew of 60 men. Do you want to guess how many women?
4.
5. 60 men and 5 women. This is not a great idea. I can already tell you from the outset. And livestock. And he's going to establish a colony in Vinland. And so they arrive there in the fall. They stay for the winter. And in the first spring, they encounter the Native Americans.
Yeah, of course.
And the Native Americans are referred to
coming out of their cave.
Skraelings.
They're doing just fine.
Skraelings is a really cool word, though. I feel like
Skraelings. I feel like if someone called me a Skraeling, I'd be really offended naturally. What does it mean?
I have no idea, but it sounds like the kind of people that like scratch on cave walls or something like that.
Yeah,
These are the Skraelings.
Skraelings.
Yeah. So they want to trade with the Skraelings. The Skraelings want to trade with them. So they trade milk and red cloth to the Skraelings for animal furs.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of sucks for the Skraelings. I mean, like red cloth, you can get that anywhere, basically. Just like go down to the Dollar Tree, get some red cloth.
Yeah, they didn't know about Dollar Tree.
Yeah, apparently. But you can they got some really nice furs in exchange for this. And there was a little bit of discrepancy. Oh, okay. They did not trade weapons. Sorry. The Skraelings were interested in their iron weapons, steel, like axes and stuff, swords. But
who wouldn't be interested in that?
But Thorfinn, Karl Safani is his name.
Wow.
He was like, no, we're not going to trade you our weapons.
I love my sword as much as I love my wife. That's what he said.
Yeah. It sounds kind of stupid to trade our weapons away.
Yeah.
Because you're going to use them against us. So let's not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's like, no, we're not going to do that. So after the first trade where they did the milk and the red cloth for the furs, the Native Americans and the Vikings went their separate ways and on good terms. But Thorfinn was like, maybe we should build a palisade wall, like just in case sort of thing. I kind of have the feeling that maybe like things might not be so great in the future going forward. And that was some good foresight actually, because they came to trade again later on, the Native Americans did. So let me backtrack for a second. So everything that we know about Leif Erikson's journey to North America comes from these two different stories. They're called sagas. And the sagas are called the Saga of the Greenlanders, and the other one is called the Saga of Eric the Red.
Nice.
And these are both Icelandic texts.
Yes, of course.
And as an aside, during this high middle age period, this
Middle Ages.
Okay, this middle age period where this event occurs, the Icelanders had vast amounts more manuscripts and text available than anywhere else in the world. Like if you took all of the middle-aged texts that the English had, it said that from this time period that you could fill like a paperback book full of it. But in Germany, you had like 3 of them. And then in like France, you had none. And in like Spain, you had none or something like that from this specific time period. But in the Icelandic tradition, you had 1,066 of them.
Wow.
So there was so many more.
So much more writing.
Yeah, so much more writing from this specific time period.
Maybe because no one was burning libraries.
That is a good point. Yes, there was a point where the Vatican did burn like everything that they had in their library for some reason. I'm not sure why they did that, but they did.
I'm really sad about that. And also about Alexandria.
Yeah, that too, for sure.
I mourn that. Each day I light candles and cry about that. I'm actually okay, I swear.
Okay, so back to the story of Thorfinn and on Vinland with the Native Americans, the Skraelings. Okay, so they come back, the Skraelings come back, and they want to trade again. And so there's different accounts that happened in the story of the Greenlanders and the story of Eric the Red. In one of them, the Skraelings are there, and one of the bulls that the Vikings had brought comes out of the woods and like bellows. He makes this like sound, and the Skraelings had never heard this before or anything, and they get scared and they retreat. Mm. In the other account, they are in the middle of a trade, and one of the Native Americans tries to take one of the iron weapons from one of the Vikings, and he ends up being killed by one of the Vikings, and so then his people leave.
Yeah, of course.
So either way, you have Skraelings retreat and the Vikings are on edge.
Yeah.
So the Native Americans have gone back and they gather bigger numbers, and they're going to mount an attack on the Vikings, on Thorfinn and his group. Yeah. Yes. And so they come back later on that night or sometimes shortly afterwards, and they are just like overwhelming them like the orcs at Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings.
Poor guys.
Yes, there are so many of them. The Vikings are like, what do I do? They're running back towards their ship. The Skraelings are just coming out of the bushes left and right. They're, you know what I mean? They're just like hollering. They're using these weird weapons against them that are like these stone things that they like make noise with, and they throw them behind enemy lines, and they are like, it's all chaos. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, they can't. They handle this.
And one of Leif Erikson's sisters is on the voyage with Thorfinn, and her name is Freydis. So she has this heroic stand during this moment of desperation where she rips apart her dress and she like exposes her breast to these people and takes an axe and just like starts pounding against her chest and starts hollering like, oh, something like that.
Yeah.
And like all the Native Americans are like, wow, this crazy.
We can't handle this.
Yes, exactly. And so they get scared and they start retreating.
Never seen an Amazonian.
Yeah, exactly. They run away from her after this moment. I don't know if it like supernaturally just like scared them or the tide was turning in the battle or whatever, but they disappear into the forest and they're done. And there is this like extra story that's like tacked on to the end of this sometimes in this little bit of those discrepancies between the sagas that I was talking about, where the Native American chieftain that had just participated in this battle, he sees an axe from the Vikings on the ground, and he picks up the axe and he just slaughters one of his own guys with the axe. He just strikes him down right there. And then he takes the axe and throws it into the water. And it's like symbolically saying that we reject these white people's like version of weapons that are too deadly, but also this might have been the guy that suggested that we attack the white people in the first place, and that I'm going to kill him because it was a bad idea. Yeah. Like we can't stand up to their modern weapons because we have this like Stone Age type weapons, and it's not going to hold up against them. So even though like that part with the axe and the chieftain could not possibly be accounted for like in a first person sort of account, but is a good like morality tale that they would have learned from their failed attempt to attack the Viking settlement because it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But as Freydis, the daughter of Eric the Red, who was the heroine in this story, she actually ends up being the leader of the next expedition to come back to Vinland. She leads it? Yeah, she leads it. Wow. So they return back to Greenland, and about 5 years later, this is in 1050 AD, Freydis makes an alliance she's got 35 Greenlanders on a ship, and she makes friends with these brothers from Iceland called Helgi and Finnborgi. And
their names.
Yes.
Their names are so like...
They're so funny. Yeah. There's 30 of them on another ship, so they go back to Vinland. And for some reason, she like has like beef with them or whatever once they get there.
She's like, no, I got a problem with you.
Yeah, she wants to stay in Leif Erikson's like Leifsburger or whatever we talked about earlier. I mean, she won't let them stay there. And the story goes that she went to ask one of them to sell her their ship in the middle of the night so she could take a bunch of timber and stuff back to Greenland, and that they said no, and that she says that they attacked her for even daring to ask, and she went back and told her husband that and was like, oh, these people attacked me for whatever reason. And so her husband leads an assault on these guys in the middle of the night to defend her honor. And so he attacks them, and I think that he kills them, but her people won't go as far as to kill like the women and the children that are with her group. And so she takes an axe herself and slaughters the women and the children that are with them.
Wow.
Yes. And
she's intense.
Yeah, she's really intense. And when they go back to Greenland and she's like, don't tell anybody about what I did when we were in Vinland. And some of her people end up telling the story. And so she gets like excommunicated because of her like absolute atrocities that she commits when they were in the New World.
Yeah, exactly.
So she went from being like the heroine in this one story to being like the absolute monster villain.
She reminds me of Columbus.
Yeah, she was terrible. I don't know why she did these things that she felt the need to do.
Yeah, she followed that same path where it was like hoping for glory and
flew too close to the sun sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. She didn't do great. But like the whole question comes down to like, why did the Vikings not do great in North America? And it's because, I mean, you ask yourself, they had the shipbuilding prowess, they had the weapons, steel weapons, they had like the organization. How did they not be able to beat themselves against a bunch of like unorganized Native Americans?
Yeah. Well, like right when you ask that, I think automatically of like, so by the time we get Columbus, they have armor that's there to withstand bullets. Mm-hmm.
They're so far removed from bullets at this point.
Yeah. Like the natives are still using bows and arrows.
Yes, and they're using like a rock on the end of like a staff.
Like it's not like a longbow. It's like a really simple version. And of course, I'm not talking necessarily about the Aztecs or the Mayans, but the local tribes that are on the islands. Like they have no chance against this imperial metal power that has
steel weapons,
guns. Mm-hmm. Well, with the Vikings, they're not as like...
They don't have guns by this point.
And they don't even have that armor yet. They're more on equal planes. I mean, like in some sense, yeah.
No,
sure.
But they still have metal. Metal gives you an advantage to this point. Like
metal. But like you get hit by a stone, It's gonna fucking suck.
Yeah, that's true.
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it is really gonna hurt.
And so, like whether you're hit by a stone in the head or a sword, you're dead. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's part of it. The Vikings
or the numbers. It was just they were like purely overwhelmed by them.
You have like 35 Vikings per ship.
Yeah.
Versus the
thousands. Like it said that the Skraelings were coming out like left and right out of the bushes and stuff.
Even if it's hundreds, it's still like hard. And well, like with the conquistadors or with the Spanish, you have the Spanish Armada behind that. You have a royal crown. You have armor so thick that it can withstand bullets, which means stones aren't going to do shit.
That's true. Okay, so it seems like the Vikings didn't do so great in North America.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they did like extraordinary compared to.
They had the upper hand in a lot of ways. They had the best ships, technology, steel weapons, navigation. They almost even had like forms of democracy and stuff because a lot of these places they came from were well organized.
Yeah.
But the sheer numbers of the Native Americans just seem to have wiped them out. Or the thing is that we don't consider necessarily in a modern context is that since I talked about the story of the saga of the Greenlanders and the saga of Eric the Red were Icelandic text, is that this ended up expanding out of the purview of the interest of the Icelanders. Like this was like so far geographically removed from them after a while, the people that were keeping the records of things, is that this is where the story of this ended as far as people, because Eric the Red was from Iceland, or was an Iceland.
It's a local custom.
Yeah, it had to do with their people necessarily, but after several generations that this wouldn't have to do with them anymore. So their scribes and like historians were not keeping records of it anymore.
Yeah.
Do we have any instances of records being kept post these sagas? Well, we don't have any more of these like long form stories per se, but we do have this thing called the Kensington Runestone. Have you heard of this before?
No, I know it not.
Okay, so the Kensington Runestone is probably one of the most interesting parts of this story is that in 1898, so let's go forward a lot of time.
Lots of time, yeah.
Yes, in Minnesota, this farmer named Olaf Oman and his son were excavating the land on their property, and beneath this tree, in the roots of this tree, they unearthed this 200-pound stone slab that had markings on it, and they like cleared away the dirt and debris, and they're like, oh, well, this looks like writing. And so it ended up being studied by people at a local university, and they determined that these were runes that were written on this stone slab that was found in Minnesota, and it was like bound into these tree roots. So it was like not something they found just like buried a few feet under the dirt.
Yeah,
no, it wasn't yesterday. It was like absolutely intertwined into the roots of this tree. And they identified it to be like an Old Norse language of these runes that were written, and they got a translation from it from some experts, some academics at the time, and it translated to say, this is in Minnesota. Remember, like Minnesota is like, show me where Minnesota is, because I'm upside down. Minnesota's like right here, right?
That's Wisconsin. Minnesota.
That's Wisconsin?
Like right.
That's Minnesota. That's Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, that's Minnesota.
Yeah, somewhere out there. Okay. Remember, the Vinland place is like over here.
Yeah.
Okay, but this.
We got the Great Lake.
Okay, this is what the translation said on the stone. It said, "We are 8 Goths and 22 Norwegians on an exploration journey from Vinland through the west. We had camped by a lake with 2 skerries, which means small rocky islands. 1 day's journey north from this stone. We were out and fished one day. After we came home and found 10 of our men red with blood and dead."
Oh no.
AVM, which could mean Ave Virgo Maria or Ave Virgin Mary. You might know more about that than me. It says, "Save us from evil. We have 10 of our party by the sea to look after our ships. 14 days journey from this island, the year 1362.
That sounds like exactly what would happen.
Very specific, though.
Yeah, very, very specific. Like this doesn't feel like false. And even the Ave Maria, Ave Virgo Maria, Hail Virgin Mary.
This is like one of the most contested historical artifacts of all time. Is this Kensington Runestone?
Okay.
So
runestone being in North America is just wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wild because that's like
absolutely
the last of the Viking language, and of course it's that Viking language that still is more Christian. So you have like Ave Maria, Virgin Maria.
So this is one of the most studied artifacts that has ever occurred, that's ever been found. And you have a bunch of opinions on all sides of this. First of all, since it was inbound in the roots of this tree,
it means it's been there for some time. It has
been there for at least 20 years. It's probably like the number that they give. Second of all, this was during a time where Scandinavian people wanted to have historical like heritage significance in the place of Minnesota in order to like have a cultural relevance. Yeah. Yes, thank you for that word, Jesse. I appreciate that. And that they find that coinciding with the discovery of the stone a little bit convenient at the time.
Yeah, of course.
But in order for this Olaf Omen guy to be able to allegedly maybe forge the stone, that he would have to have like the knowledge of this Old Norse rune language,
which is like
very obscure.
They don't have the internet then.
He even had a textbook of Norse language and like rune stones in his house around the time that this was discovered, but that it only had like 20 runes in it, allegedly.
So it doesn't even have
it did not encompass enough to be able to make a forgery of this stone.
Of course.
Another thing that I didn't know when I was researching this for the first time is that rune language was written in straight lines to make it easy to carve into things.
Yeah, exactly.
I never knew that, but that blows my mind because everything was an absolute straight line. So you didn't have to do curves like you would have to do in like a different alphabet.
Yeah, of course.
So it could be made into hard substances like stone.
Yeah, exactly.
There has been microscopic anatomical research done on the carving patterns in the stone to determine like the weathering versus the, I don't know what you want to call it, the like isotopic ratios of whatever. I'm speaking out of my depth now. It's pretty ambiguous on both sides. It could be a forgery. It could be real. If it was a forgery, he would have to go to great lengths to be able to forge it. If there was someone who could do a forgery of it, there would only be a handful of people in the world at this time who could know.
Probably like 12.
Right. They're like, this is in the 1800s using a language that was from like the 1300s.
Yeah, exactly.
In Minnesota. So it's very unlikely. They say that one of the most likely possibilities for them to forge it was to take a contemporary stone or a contemporary rune translation of the time and simply substitute the words to apply to the place. Like take the words like Vinland or whatever and to make it apply the West and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
And to say, okay, well, this was a stone that may have been found in Norway, but change a couple of the words to make it apply to North America.
Of course.
That could be a way that they could do a forgery, but it's unlikely that they could. They were analyzing like the weather patterns of the crystals in the carvings of the words.
Which was exactly where it needed to be.
It's so obscure and so in the weeds that like it changes the course of human history in North America, like whether or not this is authentic or if it's not. But it seems like it probably is authentic because of the depths that it would go to take to be able to forge this.
How does that change the perspective of North America, though?
It only changes it into the people that were there first. Really,
like it changes. Like what
it's more of a we were here, we did it. You know, like a graffiti.
Yeah.
I was here. Yeah, that's
fair.
Pretty much what it is, but. It's cool though.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about colony in Greenland declined during the intermediate time between this, like by the time the 1500s, 1400s rolled around, the Greenland colony of the Vikings was completely gone.
Yeah.
And a lot of the explanation for that was there was like a few explanations for it, and it was like either they died of disease that was like the plague or whatever that passed from, but it was unlikely that the disease did that because it would have to pass from like farmstead to farmstead, and they were spread out a lot, so that it wasn't like that, or that they were killed by like, I mean, you were talking about the other night about like sanctioned pirating because the Pope exclaimed that committing these type of crimes on people that were non-Christians that had reverted back to their pagan ways was like not a sin. So you could like do whatever to these people. And so that there was a certain level of pirating that was looting and attacking from the sea that was happening on them. But the Vikings were like an expert at these type of things. So it seems unlikely that they were the ones that would fall victim to it. And I want to go back to a story that I didn't mention earlier, but there was actually a bishop that was assigned to Greenland. And do you want to know how that he got his? What do you call it when you're a bishop, like a bishopy or a diocese or something like that? Yeah, Okay. Do you want to know how he earned his spot?
How?
He
and this is Iceland.
This is in Iceland or Greenland. It might have been Greenland. I can't remember.
Cool.
Okay, so the king of Norway wanted a live polar bear. So they caught a live polar bear and they shipped it all the way back. They actually caught a cub, and he grew up on the way on the voyage, and that was the way that he earned his title.
I guess
was
that's
to
the way
send
to do
a
it.
live polar bear. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to prove yourself, put in a live alligator.
Yeah, exactly.
Not alligator, polar bear.
I'm losing my microphone. All right, Here we go. We're back to normal. Okay. So yeah, the Kensington runestone is pretty crazy. I don't have enough. You could have a whole documentary on the Kensington runestone itself, talking about like the molecular structure of the carvings. But here's a picture of the Kensington runestone. It looks like runes.
It looks like ruins on a stone.
They argue that it's runes from one age and then like runes from another age and like runes from the High Norse and runes from like the Middle Norse and like.
I wouldn't know.
Okay, dude. Okay, if you're taking people with you through the wilderness of North America and we're gonna die any minute now, do you have a guy who has great handwriting with you?
No, you're just hurrying up.
No, we're gonna hammer this out as soon as possible.
We need to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a million arguments that could be made for it not being legitimate, but like, how much would you have to go through to fake it?
Too much, because like even that's a lot of writing.
That's a lot to fake it. That is a ton to fake it. Who is taking their time to do that? Nobody.
Doing it. Yeah,
Nobody's doing that.
Europeans don't.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to springboard off of that. Okay, so how did they get to Minnesota? How did they get to this spot right here? Okay, maybe Great Lakes. Maybe they went this way down to the south and went through the Great Lakes towards the west. And Minnesota is like the land of lakes, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
They made there. Or there's also evidence for Hudson Bay
that makes sense,
being used, and that they could have traveled down, and I can't remember what the word is for like picking up your boat and walking with it. But the Vikings were good at doing that.
Yeah, they always pick up their boats.
Yeah, just like they just
always picking up their boats.
Picking up their boats. They might not love it, but they could do it.
They're working out.
Yeah. If it mattered, they could pick up their boats and walk with it.
Their biceps are so big for that reason.
Have you heard of this thing called the Franklin Expedition?
No.
Okay, so in 1845, the English crown commissioned an expedition in 1845.
Things.
Yeah, and it was to find the Northwest Passage.
They were behind by a little bit, but yeah.
You know, the Northwest Passage was like to find a way from the North Atlantic to be able to like make it to like the North Arctic Pacific Ocean. They were trying to go from here to like to here, basically. What it was. But basically there was a lot of ice.
Yeah, obviously.
You never heard of this before? By the Franklin Expedition?
No.
Okay. So there was 129 guys on a couple of ships that set out from England. This is 1845 is when this was. And they're like, oh, okay, we're going to sail west, like past like Canada and this. And I'm giving you an example of how good the Vikings were at sailing.
Yeah, of course.
And they're like, oh, there's ice. There's ice and we can't make it. And they get stuck in ice. Like in our Antarctica episode, these ships get stuck in the ice. And they have to abandon the ships. They have to just leave them.
Yeah, you can't just hang out there.
And so they're like, we got to go south because it's too cold. We got to go south.
Freezing our asses.
Yeah. So they start dragging the lifeboats with the supplies in them by hand. They're like dragging them over their shoulders. And in the lifeboats, they have like cutlery and like fine dining ware and like candelabras and like a bunch of this stuff that they don't need at all. And the Inuits are like out there watching them and they're like, what the is going on? And these guys are like dropping dead trying to carry these lifeboats full of fine china over land in here. And 129 people die. Every single person on the expedition dies.
Smokes.
Before they make it back down to America. Like, they suck. basically.
Yeah, so this group isn't as survivalist.
No, not exactly. Okay, they were in the kind of clothes that were needed for like a parade for military people. They were not in that kind of like Arctic clothes that they needed.
Yeah, they're not prepared for it.
No, they were not prepared at all. So the Franklin expedition is like a massive failure, and you can like look up documentaries and stuff on this about how bad they were. But what it goes to show is like how adept the Vikings were at surviving during these latitudes.
Strong people, strong like way of doing things. And I wonder, like,
did they immigrate from Greenland to America? And that's why they abandoned Greenland, because they saw somewhere better to survive.
A better opportunity. And I also like wonder, like, did the people of Columbus's day really think that Columbus really discovered it, or is there already like people here and doing things? Because it seems like people are already doing things.
Were they like privy to that information?
Yeah.
Could they receive that information from the people that they encounter? Like
differently, yeah, and then not in a way in which we're like telling these stories now, but in a way which was very authentic experience of it the first time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I.
How fast does information travel during that time period? But Columbus was one of the things that I read about, was that Columbus spent some time in Iceland before he went on his voyages, and that he had gotten the story of Leif Erikson sailing west. He's already heard it before, so like he knew what lay to the west of him.
Exactly, like he is already.
There was not an edge of the map from his point of view. It had already been revealed.
Yeah, it was around. Yeah,
yes,
exactly. He was going to end up on the other side.
And the same thing from Prince Madoc, because that was in 1170, is that he was just discovering like the southern part of it down here. So he was beating like De Soto and Columbus, but he was not beating Leif Erikson to the north.
Yeah, of course.
But he got kind of like absorbed and assimilated
into the whole situation.
And Leif Erikson did too, because he returned to Greenland and his guys kind of disappeared or whatever. All right. So there is this like structure that was found in Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
It's called the Newport Tower. And there's a picture of it there. I'll put it on the screen. But it was allegedly there when the English first came to America, and it was already constructed to a degree, and it underwent some repairs, and they tested the mortar on it, and it came from like the colonial period or whatever, because it was already established by the time that Benedict Arnold's grandfather owned the land.
No, interesting.
And that he was the one that said that it was on his property. That was his stone-built structure. But there are accounts of it maybe appearing in people who surveyed the land from the coast, from the ships before America was colonized originally. And it may not have looked like this during the time period, but the function for it that was used like later on was for a windmill or whatever. They had a windmill on top of it, but most people did not spend this much time and energy to construct a windmill out of stone. Like most windmills were constructed out of like timber or other materials that were available. And that this also had a fireplace on the second floor of it. It was kind of like our D&D game, almost in the tower. Is that the second floor probably is like here, or the window that you see that had the fireplace in it is not something that you would commonly encounter on a windmill. Yeah, so of course. Who was it that used this structure? And going back to our Prince Madoc stories from earlier, who used stones that in the Welsh tradition.
Could be our Prince Madoc here.
Exactly. So this is in Rhode Island right now, but it's an interesting artifact that you could go and visit. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's weird to think like, I don't even really think of Columbus, but like to think that people were here before, like Europeans were interacting with maybe natives before this period of the 1400s. And it wasn't completely barbarous and wild, but it was a little bit more like sustainable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a weird area to think about, like, because like when the Spanish and the English and the French all came in, it was so barbarous. It's weird how like these very civilized.
It was like a free for all.
Yeah, no, like these civilized societies were like as hell. Like what happened to them to be like?
They just acted a fool when they came to the new nation.
Yeah, and like
no rules or whatever.
And they really just like, And they use like things like Christendom and stuff to like justify it. And you're like, I just don't even see it, bud. Like, I don't even see it a little bit.
Not at all. It's a stretch for sure.
And so I don't understand. Like, it's weird to think about how many people were here before. Maybe St. Brennan,
Maybe
definitely
Prince
Leif
Madoc,
Erikson,
yeah.
Prince Madoc.
Leif Erikson definitely had that story.
Yeah.
I feel like
his
is
present.
pretty cemented, but the question is like how far his
in
influence did. Yeah.
Yeah, like, or did he just create like a colony? Like, yeah.
Let's rate the legend. What do you think?
The legend of the edges of the map.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to narrow it down to let's say not Columbus.
Yeah, because it's no matter what, it's an adventure to the ends of the map. Like the map ends and you go further.
Right.
Like no matter what, that is exciting.
The map
on the map it says here be dragons, right?
Yeah.
Like no, I didn't see any dragons in any of our research.
The map ends and the adventure begins.
Exactly. And so there's something particularly realistic and exciting about that. Like, have you ever had your Google Map shut off and you're just like, well, I guess I'm going to just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary.
It is scary.
That's scary now in the modern day.
Imagine how they felt.
And so like here they are 6 weeks into the ocean and you're like, I guess we're going to figure out what the hell we're doing
or whatever.
So like ballsiness is like an absolute 10. I'm going to give this just the legend of the ends of the map, like because of the courage it took. Like it took real people to have courage. Like I'm gonna give it a 9 because it's so like intense. Now St. Brennan was like definitely the way more out there one. The rest of them are a little bit more manageable, kind of more have a historic context. I don't know if a 9 is worthy of this, but I just because I think about getting in a boat and driving 6 weeks or riding 6 weeks.
I feel a lot different. I feel like than you feel about this because I was kind of like disappointed in a lot of the stories.
Yeah, tell me about that.
They didn't make me feel like they had a resolution. The Vikings did okay, but they didn't do their best. And like it makes me kind of disappointed in the Vikings themselves because they had this spirit of we will go to as far as they can take us. Like they went into Russia, they went all the way down to like Constantinople and to Jerusalem and these places into the Mediterranean from the outside to the Straits of Gibraltar. And then they took the stepping stones across the Atlantic and the North Sea to get to America, but it didn't culminate in any sort of permanent settlement at all. And it kind of made me a little bit like sad about that.
Yeah, like why didn't it create anything? So what are you giving it?
I want to give it like a 6, probably.
Okay, so between
a 9 and a 6 is going to be like a 7.5.
Let's go 7.
Okay,
let's go 7 because like I think you're right in saying that like there was no grand anything.
The Prince Madoc story kind of disappointed me because it didn't have any like complete anchors in reality. Christopher Columbus was a douchebag. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
St. Brendan's thing was kind of like all metaphors. It was very strange.
I don't know if we're supposed to read that in like a real way or a spiritual way.
Yeah, me too.
And so I guess there is some kind of context. I could be content with a 7 on that.
Yeah, let's give it a 7.
Yeah.
What do you think about the drink?
I like the liquor. Linya, shit. Linya.
I like the Linya by itself.
I like Linya by itself, but the drink lacks depth.
Me too.
Like the drink, like having the soda water and the cranberry in it. I'm
maybe
not
like
sure
a
the
5.
Cranberry's overtaking.
Yeah.
The soda water. It's like I don't know what it's doing. Yeah, I'm gonna go 5. Like 5. The lack of depth there. The Linya itself, I'm gonna go.
I think it was a good liquor.
I'll give it an 8. I'll give the Linya an 8.
We didn't even finish it, and we usually always finish
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm feeling it. I feel it, but like the Linya itself is an 8. I'm not sure what to do with it. The drink itself, I would go 5, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it lacks any complexity. Like I guess I taste the herbals, I taste the cranberry, but like I really don't know what it's doing.
I feel bad about suggesting to do the berries one, dude. It was so bad.
Yeah, there was another one that we could have done that was like...
oh, man. The one that we could have done was called the Oslo Fjord. Yeah. And it required us to make clarified almond milk. And the clarified almond milk was really complicated. And we just...
Yeah, we decided to go simple here. Yeah, well, and of course, the reason I chose this drink is because it's first Norway, which is reaching out to that Viking culture. I have this soda water from Italy. which is reaching out to Columbus a little bit. The berries are the discovery of America.
Yeah, they found berries.
Yeah, Vinland. But in general, disappointing drink.
I would say too. Yeah.
I'm not very impressed.
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, like
Legends Libations embarrassed.
Legends Libations embarrassed. We'll try again next week.
Yeah, we'll do better.
Yeah, we'll
stay tuned for our Halloween episode, which is going to come out soon.
I'm excited about the Halloween.
Yeah, it's going to be on the Huska Castle.
Hellfire and all, right?
Yes, it's going to be an exciting story. Jesse and I are going to collaborate on the same account.
Yeah,
which doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah. And usually we're doing 2 different things, and so like
this might be better.
Yeah, we're gonna get really on it, and so
we don't know what drink we're gonna do yet, though.
So I guess happy Leif Erikson Day,
happy Christopher Columbus Day,
happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
There we go.
Yeah, so all early October.
Not celebrating Christopher Columbus. I'm not a big fan of him at all.
Yeah, we're not celebrating Christopher Columbus here on Legends Libation. We're celebrating first Leif Erikson Day, and we're celebrating Indigenous People Day.
Indigenous peoples.
So you're welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of Legends Libations. Thank you.
And we will see you next time, and it will not be that long of a wait because we're coming out before Halloween. Stay tuned.
We're going to make it quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sipping through history.
Sipping through history once again.